welcome to Tonight in America. I'm your host, Dante Jones, and we have an exciting show tonight for you. I want to welcome you back here to this Monday, January the 26th, 2026. We have a big story to cover tonight. There was a recent shooting over the weekend. So I'm going to spend the entirety of this show covering that entire shooting right now because it's caused a lot of debate over was it lawful or was it not lawful. Did the ICE agent or the Border Patrol agent who conducted the shot act within his right to do so? And I'm just going off the bat. I'm just gonna go off the bat and say yes, he did. So I'm going to break it down. Why was it a lawful shooting and how was it? Not just from my personal perspective, but also we also have legal and on-hand job experience perspective on why this is a lawful shot. But let's just go ahead and say one thing before we jump into everything else, bro. What is going on in Minnesota? What is going on in Minnesota? That entire state there's got to be something in the water. You know, George Floyd, Renee Nicole Good, that other guy that got shot out there, I forgot his name, and Alex Prete. Like, bro, what is going on with all these shootings right now? I mean, like Minnesota is just like a hellscape of just like domestic violence, bro. Domestic issues. You know, you got violent protesters trying to stop federal law enforcement from conducting their jobs and try to impede on them and act like they understand the law. And then they end up getting themselves arrested, pepper sprayed, or worse, shot. So Minnesota is just a cesspool of like pure degeneracy and just like scumbag as shit. Bro, it's like that state can't catch a break right now with so much of the crap that's been going on over there for the last couple of years. Like it's been on mainstream news, making headlines a lot lately because of all these shootings that's going on right now. So anyways, we're gonna talk about what's going on right now in Minnesota tonight. I'm gonna spend all the show right now. We're going to spend the entirety of the show talking about that and breaking it down, and then hopefully by the end of this you can understand how was it a lawful shot and why the ICE agent is not going to face any legal repercussions, because he knows what he's doing. Of course, we're not the ICE agent, it was a Border Patrol agent that made the shot. So let us jump into it. So we got news articles from right and we got news articles from the left. So I'm going to give you both perspectives, so that way you don't feel like I'm just giving you one perspective, but I'll give you both. I'll go to our friends here at the New York Times. Start off with them first before we jump into everyone else. So man killed by federal agents in Minneapolis was holding a phone, not a gun. That's funny enough, but he does have a gun on him. He was legally licensed to carry, and he approached ICE officers, try to impede on them doing their jobs, and it's a good way to get yourself shot. I'm gonna be real. So videos analyzed by the New York Times appear to contradict federal accounts of the shooting. The man, an ICU nurse, was an American citizen with no criminal record, the city police chief said. So let's go ahead and go through this a little bit. So federal officers sought to betray a 37-year-old Minneapolis resident killed by Border Patrol agents on Saturday as a domestic terrorist, saying he wanted to massacre law enforcement, even as videos emerged that appear to directly contradict their account. Yeah, I could agree with that he wasn't there to, well, it's easy to say that when you're writing an article on a website for a big mainstream media company, but at the same time to be on the job and to be out there in the field, it's another thing, because like law enforcement are not thinking about that. Because if you walk up to law enforcement and you're trying to impede on their specific job orders that they were given by the president of the United States government, you have to automatically have to just take it with a grain of salt and realize like they are thinking about 10 different things at one time, or while they're doing such a dangerous job already. So to sit here and just say that he probably couldn't have posed a threat, and like we're going to go through it right quick, you're going to see, like to sit here and say he wasn't going to pose a threat is just like obscenely just like absurd. Like There's no indication of he wasn't going to pose a threat quite frankly at all, because he showed up to a protest when he's supposed to be peacefully protesting and video recording with his camera off to the side instead of trying to get involved with a law enforcement officer trying to make an arrest or pretty much deal with another problem. As you see through the video, he was dealing with a woman who was also trying to impede on them trying to arrest a violent criminal from, I think it was Ecuador. A violent criminal that has a past in Ecuador. They were trying to look and arrest him, and the woman was impeding on them doing their job. And of course, they have to respond to neutralize the problem. Well, they were trying to kill the woman, of course, but they were pepper spraying her and get her to basically try to stop them and get her out of the way. So Alex Prete got in the way, and then next thing you know, well, let's just go through this right quick, and then we'll come right back to all this later. So as the article goes on, the man Alex Jeffrey Prete was an extensive care nurse described by Minneapolis police chief as a U.S. citizen with no criminal record. I love how they put that in there. Federal officials said he was armed, but there's no sign in videos analyzed by the New York Times that he pulled his weapon or that agents even knew he had one until he was already pinned on the sidewalk. That's a key point to realize. I'm glad they put that in there. An agent had already removed Mr. Prete's gun when the two other agents opened fire, shooting him in the back, and as he laid on the ground, at least 10 shots were fired, killing him. Mr. Prete had a legal permit to carry a firearm, said Police Chief Brian O'Hara. Just because he had legal right to carry a gun, you have to understand, you can carry the gun, but if you're going to a protest, especially if you're getting in between law enforcement when they're trying to apprehend someone, it's best to disclose that. It's very best to disclose that. The shooting on a frigate morning in frigate morning in Minneapolis is this is just all ludicrous. Let's see. Federal agents deploy. Okay, trying to find where the important information at. Okay, so federal agents deployed tear gas and flashbangs to drive demonstrators away from the shooting scene as they demanded the local police officers arrest the agents who killed Mr. Prete. Okay, so let's go back up here. So Whittier neighborhood renewed protests and clashes with law enforcement in a city where tensions have reached a breaking point after weeks of aggressive federal immigration action. Federal agents deployed. Okay, I already read that part. Officials said protests in Minneapolis had remained mostly peaceful, with a few exceptions. But as dusk fell, officials deployed the National Guard to ensure the demonstrations did not turn violent. Unfortunately, too late for that. That already broke out of control. At least 1,000 people turned out for a vigil for Mr. Prete in Whittier Park on Saturday night, despite sub-zero temperatures. A colleague of Mr. Prete said he had worked as a nurse at the Veterans Affairs Hospital in Minneapolis. He was a really good colleague and a really great friend. Of course, they're trying to add in the sympathy cards right now to gain the sympathy of the general public reading this article. Here's what we're covering. Okay, video analysis. Okay, so that's the New York Times right there. If you want to read the rest of it, just go to their website, get your membership. But let's get on to, we're going to get another perspective from the left. We're going to get Axios's perspective now. Federal agents fatally shot man in confrontation with South Minneapolis. Federal agents shot and killed a 37-year-old man in South Minneapolis on Saturday morning per state and local officials and witness video from the scene. The big picture. The shooting of ICU nurse Alex Prete, a Minneapolis resident and U.S. citizen, further inflamed tensions over the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in the Twin Cities. State and local leaders called on the Trump administration to pull the thousands of federal agents sent to the state in recent weeks. The president responded with a Truth Social post accusing the mayor and governor of inciting insurrection with their rhetoric. If they're inciting insurrection, then Trump, by that logic, you can literally charge them with insurrection and get them and arrest them. Like, this is my frustration with Trump. It's like all he does is just go to Truth Social and just, write out a paragraph and just post it instead of actually doing something. Like, you're the president of the United States, and I was saying this yesterday on my chill stream. He could go out there and literally arrest these people instead of just keep playing with them and just like fucking around. Okay, if the local state officials are just fucking around, then you need to make sure they find out. Like, I don't understand, like, what is this like going back and forth through tweets is doing for anybody. Writing out long true social posts and just posting them is not doing anything. You are the president, bro. You can go out there and literally arrest these people and charge them with insurrection. Like, it didn't send the National Guard in to help ICE agents do their fucking jobs, bro. But again, later on, after we cover pretty much everything, apparently today Tim Walz now has conceded, and now he's going to work with the Trump administration and ICE now to make sure the deportations go on as planned, and local law enforcement, for which they should have been doing from the jump, are now going to work with the ICE agents and Border Patrol. So as it goes on right here, what we know, the shooting occurred at about 9 a.m. local time, as observers with whistles, of course, congregated at the scene of what Department of Homeland Security officials said was a targeted immigration enforcement operation. Videos from the scene appear to show Prete recording agents with a phone and attempting to help another observer as she was pushed to the ground by an agent. He was sprayed with chemical agents and wrestled to the ground by about a half a dozen agents before multiple shots rang out. DHS said Prete was armed with a gun and that Border Patrol agent opened fire as he resisted agents' attempts to disarm him. It's gotta like, you gonna see like the clear biases from both sides, but this is why I'm reading off, like, left, and then I'm reading off right, news applications, just to give you a broader perspective and to be objective about both. So videos circulating so far do not appear to show him reaching for or brandishing the firearm in question. It's debatable because, like, the video I'm gonna show you later is going to show you that he was reaching for something around his belt buckle area where you keep a gun at usually. So that's very debatable. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said at midday news conference that it appeared Prete was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. It still doesn't matter if he's a local gun owner. You don't get involved in law enforcement affairs. The officer who shot the man was an 8-year Border Patrol veteran, according to federal officials, the Associated Press reported. What they're saying, Gov. Tim Walz said he had spoken to the White House about what he called another sickening shooting. The president was in this operation, he wrote, pulled the thousands of untrained officers out of Minnesota, excuse me. Now, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem called Prete's actions domestic terrorism. I wouldn't go that far. But Walz, who called DHS account of the daily encounter lies and nonsense, said that state were conducting an independent investigation to the shooting. But the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension said its agents and crime scene personnel tried to access the location of the shooting, but were blocked by DHS. They are allowed to because of, like, this is involving federal law enforcement, so they have the authority to block it off and just only leave it to, like, federal agents to conduct the investigation. So local law enforcement doesn't really necessarily have the authority to oversee that. DHS also blocked the BCA from investigating the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Nicole Good and the non-fatal shooting of a man on the city's north side. Okay. So that's the left. Let's go to the right. So let's go to the New York Post. So chaotic moment. Federal officer reached for gun, revealed in close-up analysis of Minneapolis armed anti-ICE protester shooting. So close-up videos of the fatal Minneapolis shooting showed protester Alex Jeffrey Prete was armed with a gun, with the agent who fired the more than a dozen shots. Yeah, I guess somebody mistyped that sentence. Okay. Shots clearly reacting to something that alarmed his that alarmed him amid the chaos. It's unclear if Prete, bro, I'm reading this without my glasses. It's unclear if Prete had drawn the weapon and was immediately disarmed, if an officer had pulled it from his clothing, or if he was in the process of pulling it out when a separate federal officer was seen taking it from the 37-year-old as he was pinned to the ground. Videos of the incident show officers shouting, "He's got a gun," as the unidentified agent reaching into Prete's wristband to retrieve the weapon. At one point, an officer in gray coat is seen emerging from the melee with the gun, which officials said was a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. And I'm going to show you exactly what gun it is later and why this is also important to the shooting. According to close-up, the video of that moment as the officer holds the gun's slide moves, meaning it may have fired. That's an important part. And like I said, once I show you what gun it is, this is all going to make sense a lot later. Causing a loud noise of a gunshot shortly before other officer fired at Prete. So as you can see right here, this is a bad image right here. But I mean, this is the image from the New York Post. The resolution is very bad on this one. So as we go over here, yeah, you can see that's when they obtained the gun from Prete. Apparently that one's not up. Okay, so let's go back. This one comes up. Okay, it's just white. Okay, as you can see right there, in his hand right here, that is the gun. They have obtained the gun now. So as now they're taking a gun. Okay, so they have disarmed Prete in the pictures. Okay, in various videos, the agent who fired the fatal shot could be seen shooting the armed protester at close range, then pumping at least 9 more rounds into his body as Prete laid motionless on the ground. Okay, so we're going to go over to the Daily Caller. Suspect who looked ready to massacre law enforcement shot dead in Minneapolis, DHS says. ICE out. A U.S. Border Patrol agent fatally shot an armed man in Minneapolis. It goes to show you exactly like how both news agencies conduct their how both sides of the political aisle on the news outlets conduct their articles and write their articles. Like the other ones were making the Prete seem like he was just like a an innocent citizen or whatever, and on the right they'll let you know this was an armed protester that didn't disclose he was armed to law enforcement at all before he got shot. So a U.S. Border Patrol agent fatally shot an armed man in Minneapolis on Saturday who the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said looked like was about to massacre a law enforcement. The incident happened just 17 days after an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good, who had hit the agent with her vehicle in the same city. DHS Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs Tracy McLaughlin said in a statement shared with the Daily Caller News Foundation that the most recent shooting occurred when agents were carrying out a targeted operation. I mentioned that earlier, and it appeared the now deceased man was about to inflict maximum damage against law enforcement officers. There's no telling what he would have done because, like I said before, you have to think about this. He didn't disclose ahead of time he had a gun. I get it. You're there at the peaceful protest and record. You're allowed to do that. That is your constitutional right to do that. But at the same time, you don't have a right to go in there and stop ICE from conducting their operations at all. You don't have a legal right to do so. If they're obtaining and they're there to arrest and deport a legal alien, that is their job to do so. Okay, you have no jurisdiction, no legal right to do something at all. All right, so the incident happened just 17 days after the Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good, who had hit the agent with her vehicle. In the same city, DHS Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs Tracy McLaughlin said in a statement, okay, I already read that part. Okay, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said during the Saturday press conference that the deceased was a 37-year-old white male who lived in the city. He was later identified as Alex Prete, according to reports. At 9:05 a.m., DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a target operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, seen here, McLaughlin wrote in a statement. DHS shared with the DCNF and a photograph of a guy with 2 magazines. ICE and Border Patrol are both agencies of DHS. Okay, so we're going to jump into some more. We're going to jump into some videos right now. This is from Fox News.
Well, this is a Fox News alert out of Minneapolis. Reports of a shooting there and that the suspect, according to DHS, was armed. Now, tensions at the scene are high right now. You're looking at a live image. Let's go.
Make sure you smack the like. Make sure you smack the like button. Stupid thing, yes.
Tensions at the scene are high right now. You're looking at a live image. Let's go to Garrett Tenney. He is live in Minneapolis. Garrett.
Yeah, and Kaylee, this just happened this past hour, so details are still coming in. We'll get a clearer picture as this unfolds, so it's still early. But what we were being told at this point from DHS is that Border Patrol had some type of interaction with a man who was armed. This is a picture that our Bill Malusian got from DHS. This is the gun and 2 magazines that they say he was armed with. And Border Patrol engaged him. There was a shooting. DHS says that CPR was being performed on that person. And the Star Tribune reports that that person has now been taken to the hospital by ambulance. While the details are still coming in, we are already seeing reaction to this. Governor Tim Walz just tweeted out, I just spoke with the White House after another horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota has had it. This is sickening. The president must end this operation, pull the thousands of violent, untrained officers out of Minnesota now. Now, we should point out that while this is happening, this area right around where this happened, this is about a mile and a half from where Renee Good was shot about 2.5 weeks ago. This is the 3rd shooting in Minneapolis over the past 2.5 weeks involving federal agents and folks here on the ground. This is going to be another flashpoint. Yesterday was a statewide shutdown with thousands of people coming out into the streets.
This could all be avoided. I mean, if local law enforcement were literally allowed to work with the federal agents. Like, all of this is only happening because, like, when you go to like these sanctuary cities, you know, local law, the domestic government of said state, they refuse to work with the federal agents. So they put ICE in a bad position because, like, the fact that they're not working with the ICE agents, then at least them open to be harassed, terrorized, followed by a bunch of like degenerate scumbags who got nothing better to do, and they're being paid off to go and protest and literally just basically harass the shit out of ICE all day long, like they don't have anywhere else to be. So local law enforcement is not allowed to work because the local state officials are just, they're allowing this to happen. And then they're demonizing ICE agents far more with the rhetoric, which is leading these idiots to go out there and literally just like harass and hound the ICE officers all day. So this is the only reason why you're seeing more and more of this happen, especially in like Minnesota, especially. It's because like Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, all they do is go out there and just demonize ICE agents all day instead of working with them, instead of coming to a resolution to make sure they can safely do their jobs without them being hounded by a bunch of protesters. They just go on the microphone and just hound ICE agents with just a bunch of like demonizing rhetoric.
Marching, calling for ICE to get out of the city. This incident is going to play into that. We are already seeing on social media that folks are playing these different narratives. Tim Walz there talking about how this was just suggesting it was an attack on an unarmed individual. People online are already tweeting out this story that this happened as if this person was just assaulted and unarmed at the time. So we have these competing narratives that we are going to see play out over the next day. And we have a press conference with Border Patrol and ICE that was scheduled to take place at noon Eastern. That, we are told, has now been pushed back to 1 p.m. But over at the scene of the shooting, we have a camera that just got there a short time ago. We were told, more than 100 protesters. Then they are being pushed back from that area. Tear gas has been deployed. Flashbangs have been deployed. Local police are now there.
It takes more than just that, bro. Like, these people are literally relentless on trying like to harass like ICE officers because like they really believe in their minds, like, and they can't even describe it themselves. Like, this is the Gestapo, and it's really not, quite frankly.
They're on the ground trying to get control.
So we lost Garatini. We'll see if we can get him back. But I'm monitoring these details from our Bill Malusian here. And just to reiterate, this happened on 26th Street East and Nicollet Avenue. This is what Border Patrol is telling Fox News. CPR was administered to this victim. It happened around 10:17 a.m., according to Bill Malusian. And what he's hearing from our sources, and the individual who was shot, again, this is all preliminary. We're just bringing you the details as we get them. DHS telling Fox News that the suspect was armed with a gun and 2 magazines. CPR was administered. That individual was in an ambulance. And at this moment, we do not have any details on the individual.
You could just look at these people like, bro, don't these people have anywhere to be? Don't they have families to raise? I forgot if this was in Minneapolis or not. I believe someone brought a child to one of these protests, and like the child got tear gassed because, you know, it was there at a protest where it shouldn't even be out and about. It, especially like in a dangerous environment like a protest that can turn violent at any time, like it always does, especially in Minnesota. Like if you're bringing your child to a protest, like, bro, what are you like? We can't put the blame on the ICE agents for tear gassing people, because that's just what they got to do to quell a mob of people who are just angry and are not listening to reason. So they're going to be mad at the ICE officers for them sitting up there trying to quell a problem, but at the same time, they're not going to at all go at the the parents at all for bringing a child in the first place to a protest, which leads to that child being tear gassed. So I don't blame the ICE officer at all for that. That's just on the dumbass parents that sit there and just like are there protesting a lawful operation.
His current status. And you, of course, heard the comment from Governor Walz. We're going to monitor all of this. You look at that scene. It appears to be an agitated scene there in Minneapolis this morning. And this, of course, comes after the shooting of Renee Good, which happened just a few weeks ago. We're going to keep you updated. We will be in touch with Bill Malusian, among others, and Garrett Tenney on the ground.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR.
Yeah, this is getting like a very bad situation. Let me close some of these tabs right quick. I also want to get into this. Let me show you all this. So Antifa influencer declares guerrilla war against ICE after Minnesota shooting. So Minneapolis man who calls himself Antifa, this is he urged his nearly 36,000 Instagram followers to get your fucking guns and stop federal law enforcement after a Border Patrol agent fatally shot an armed man in his city. Kyle Wagner, a self-described entrepreneur, sure, a master hate baiter. Wait, what? I guess I don't know. What is a master hate baiter? Okay, but anyways, posted a series of videos to social media appearing to encourage armed and explicitly non-peaceful demonstrations against federal agents, whom he referred to as Nazi gunmen. The far left influencer uploaded the videos in the immediate aftermath of the day's fatal shooting, which the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, claimed targeted a suspect who looked ready to massacre law enforcement. The chaotic riots subsequently erupted on the streets of Minneapolis. And if you want to know, this is what he looks like, but here's some more. This is who this guy is right here. This is who this guy is right here. Forgive me, should have, it's loading right now, so give it a moment. All right, bro, fucking browsers. All right, browser's good right now. Yep, everything looks good. Just making sure. So this is this guy right here. This is Mr. Antifa, where I guess right here, according to Right News Network, his name is Antifa General. What the bro? You could already tell this guy's mentally not right in the head.
I do this all year, all the time. I'm out and about like this because I do it for me all year. All the time. Yeah. Yep. I'm a fucking blue collar fuck of a dude all day long. And then at least a few times every week, I like to get real clean and pretty and go out, shoot pool or get dinner, maybe go dance. You never fucking know, right? But I don't need a fucking parade to celebrate. I don't need to be groped and harassed and catcalled and treated like a piece of meat by a bunch of fucking cis women who.
You know, shout out to Grid of Mine. Shout out to Grid of Mine right now. I don't know what the fuck we got into ourselves into, gentlemen. Like, what is going on in Minnesota right now, bro? What is going on in the country right now, bro? This country used to be so great when we used to have a thing called asylums, and we stopped prioritizing that, and we started letting the crazy people walk out through the front door. And now they're out and about with regular average people every day. And we stop calling people crazy, and now we're having the crazy people just walk among us, and now I don't even know anymore. Like, what are we even doing at this point? When I see shit like that, bro, this is crazy.
Fucking give me side eyes in public when I do this the rest of the fucking year, who mumble to themselves and fucking have all kinds of things to say behind my back. All of you.
Yeah, I could see why he's calling for violence, because, like, bro, yes, look at this guy right here. He's not right in the head. This is like a guy that's not just not fit for civilized society. This is a guy that should have been put away in the crazy pen and locked up and the keys thrown away. I shit you not. This is literally insane that I'm even seeing this on my timeline. But anyways, where were we at? Let's get back into it. So this is Jacob Fry. This was immediately after the shooting happened, and then, you know, as you know, they have to have their press conference, of course, and go out there and say, "Oh, fuck ICE. We want ICE out of this. We want ICE out of Minnesota." You know, "Oh, ICE is bad. ICE is doing nothing but causing harm. It's disturbing the peace. They're not doing their job properly." Hey, Jacob, maybe if you actually work with them and let them use local law enforcement to assist, this wouldn't be happening, bro.
Put in the middle of these chaotic situations. We will not be able to do this on our own, and so we are getting assistance from both mutual aid jurisdictions as well as the request to the governor for the National Guard, and we're appreciative of the assistance. Our community is tired.
By the way, if you're like listening to me with headphones on, and then you hear like you hear him speaking speaking through one earbud, it's because
our officers
their
are
audio
tired.
is trash.
Our businesses are tired, and this additional support is necessary. And again, the chaos that we are seeing is caused directly by ICE, Border Control, and this federal administration. Our top priority is keeping our neighbors and businesses safe, and the additional support will help us do that. Our community service officers are helping to deliver food to families that are in need. Community members are out there peacefully protesting, making sure that their voices are heard. They're escorting workers to their jobs. They're taking care of daycares.
It's one thing to protest, but it's another thing when you're actually like literally impeding yourself on federal law enforcement. That's two different things, bro.
It has been extraordinary how people around our city have stepped up during this difficult time, and there is an incredible group of leaders and senators and members of Congress that are here with me to deliver a powerful message in just a couple of minutes. We're also working closely with our immigration task force to make
There's Amy Kupanchar right there next to him.
sure that clear and transparent information is coordinated. We'll continue to do everything in our power to keep our neighbors safe and to stand up for our immigrant communities. Most of the protests that we've seen have remained peaceful. Let's keep it that way. Let's not counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own version of chaos here. I understand that people are angry. I'm angry.
Bro, we all saw those clips. Those protests are not peaceful, bro. They're destroying literally public property, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, none of these protests look peaceful at all. Like, they're going there and literally destroying public property, causing massive disturbance. Like, if anything, ICE is just there trying to do their operations. These people should be at home. Like, they're being, the only reason they're out there even protest is because guys like you go out there and demonize ICE on a daily. Like, if you didn't go out there and call ICE worse than scum, maybe these people wouldn't believe you. These people are easily manipulable because they look at you and believe you and follow your lead in Tim Walz, and they go up there and they actually believe in their minds that ICE is the Gestapo when they're not. You can challenge them on their points and they can't even articulate it. They can't tell you how ICE is the Gestapo. They can't tell you how ICE is the Nazis. They can't tell you how ICE are fascists. Enforcing the laws is not fascism, ladies and gentlemen. It's called enforcing the laws. Like, these people just hate law enforcement. That's all they do. They just hate law enforcement. The average person hates law enforcement. These people, these state officials, they just hate Trump.
Understand that people are experiencing trauma. It makes sense. Our communities have been placed on the very front line, and this has been ongoing now for weeks. It must end. Remember, it's only our city that will suffer if there is damage or destruction that is done. Finally, to the victim's family and friends, our hearts are with you. Our love goes out to you. I know that there is nothing that I can say right now that will ease the pain. But I hope you know that Minneapolis cares deeply for you. There are 435,000 residents that will do everything possible to stand with you.
These people are literally fight for a bunch of these people that like the Somalian community who come here and just want to commit scam. And just want to come here and commit fraud and just want to come here and steal from the American people. They don't care. They need them for votes. That's the only reason why they care. And then the average person who's like living next door to Somali communities or whatever, like they're throwing themselves in the way of like bullets for these immigrants. But these immigrants just want the reap of the benefit. They just want to reap the benefits that they're getting. They don't give a damn about these white liberals that are literally trying to die for a bunch of these, these Somalians that come here and are committing their privacy in America. They don't give a damn about you. No, they just want the benefits, bro. You coming over here trying to throw yourself in the way, bro. When you get shot down, they just gonna go right back to what they're doing if they're here lawfully or whatever, and just get more SNAP benefits. Go on their day. Oh, look at this white liberal who threw himself in the way for all these Somalians when these Somalis or just go right back and commit more fraud. Billions of dollars of fraud came out of Minnesota, but no one's doing nothing about that. But they're damn sure trying to do something about stopping Somalians from being deported. Insane to me, bro. Like, we live in a world right there when these people in Minnesota are just not serious people. They're not serious about at all protecting Minnesota and keeping Minnesota for Minnesotans. It's more than just saying you come to this country to find a better life and just automatically say you're an American without actually truly assimilated. The only reason they're here is because they want to just take advantage of the fraud. Like, even in their second Nick Shirley video, which I need to react to as well. I need to react to his part 2 investigation. But even in the video, there was a guy that was like getting very aggressive with Nick Shirley. What did he tell him? Oh, we the only community committing fraud? I mean, he self-snitched on himself right there at that moment. He literally said, oh, we the only community committing fraud. You take with that as you may.
With that, I'll turn it over to Chief O'Hara, who can give more of an update on the plans for tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'm going to provide a brief update on the events today and our plans to maintain order in the city.
I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. We're just gonna get through like a good chunk of it. We're gonna, I guess, let him speak, and then I'm gonna probably go to Amy, and then that's about it. Yeah, so we're gonna move on at like the 11:30 mark.
I recognize that this is a volatile and emotional situation, and our focus remains, as it always has been, on de-escalation, slowing things down, and maintaining peace and order in this city. The situation is stable right now, and it is peaceful, and we intend to keep it that way. After our last press update, additional residents and demonstrators gathered today, and the situation deteriorated. Local and state law enforcement officers were surrounded on multiple sides by a mix of protesters and also agitators who engaged in unlawful acts. Individuals began erecting barricades, throwing glass bottles, ice chunks, and at least 2 separate fires were started in the immediate vicinity. Minneapolis police had to escort firefighters so that they could safely extinguish those fires. The number one priority of our police officers is to protect life and maintain public safety for all people in our community. And so, given the volatility and rising public safety risks for residents, for demonstrators, and police officers, state and local law enforcement did deploy less lethal and gas munitions at that assembly in order to allow for a safe egress of law enforcement and to prevent further violence and damage. We do everything that we possibly can to de-escalate whenever possible, and the actions that were taken today were in response to a dangerous and escalating situation that already had multiple confrontations. The gathering at the scene now is peaceful, and we need everyone to respect the lives and property of all people in our community. In order to maintain that peace, we have established a vehicle exclusionary zone in the...
I can't tell if this is a dude or a woman. At this point, I can't tell anymore. That's a scary part.
affected area. That zone has allowed traffic to be safely managed and has significantly reduced the risk of escalation, ensuring access for emergency vehicles, for residents of the area, and for lawful, peaceful demonstrations. This zone will be maintained by uniformed police officers of the Minneapolis Police Department, working alongside members of the Minnesota National Guard. National Guard members will be wearing fluorescent yellow safety traffic vests and will be working alongside uniformed Minneapolis police. In addition to the Minnesota State Patrol and Hennepin County Sheriff's Office that assisted at the scene, the St. Paul Police, Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, and numerous Hennepin County suburban police departments are assisting with answering 911 calls in the city of Minneapolis today. The loss of human life, yet again, is a tragedy. We pray all people can recognize that, and we extend our condolences, as the mayor has said, to the loved ones of the deceased. To the people of our city, we understand that the pressure has been building for weeks. We understand the hurt and frustration that this causes. But again, if you choose to come out, if you choose to demonstrate, peacefully assemble, do so lawfully, and understand that the men and women in this uniform standing here tonight are committed first and foremost to protecting the lives of every single person in this city. We will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as needed. Senator.
Thank you.
If he really wants to ensure that their safety is absolutely insured, then how about you send local PD out there with the ICE agents to ensure everyone can be safe, everything could go smooth without having to worry about protesters literally trying to stop ICE from doing their jobs, and then that leads to them getting shot. Like, if he's gonna go up there and give this statement or whatever, he could at least tell his officers to go out there and literally help the ICE agents. But of course, he's getting orders from Jacob Fry and Tim Walz to not do that. That's the reason people are getting shot, bro. This is the reason why people are getting loss of life is sad. But what are you guys doing to help? Nothing. All you guys want to do is go up there and cry about it when someone actually gets shot and killed because you guys refuse to assist Border Patrol and ICE. Like, I don't want to hear this, bro. Like, this crap from them, they're doing this on purpose. They're guilt tripping everyone right now into believing this crap.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for your strong leadership during this crisis. I'm joined today by Senator Smith, as well as Representatives McCollum and Morrison, and joining us in a statement are Representatives Craig and Omar. Our message is really clear and straightforward. We need ICE out of Minnesota. They are not making us more safe. As the tragic killing this morning, as people saw it viscerally on that video shows us, they are making us less safe.
They're literally being hoarded by a bunch of protesters. What are you talking about?
With 3,000 agents, which of course includes Border Control, outnumbering the sworn police officers in Minneapolis and St. Paul by 3 to 1, and even larger than the 10 metropolitan police departments. This is completely out of whack, completely out of balance, and now 3 people have been shot, 2 resulting in death. 1, Renee Good, mother of 3, and now Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old Minneapolis man, a citizen, also a nurse. They both have families that love them very much. This city has been under siege. And I want to make something clear. As the mayor and the police chief are doing their job for this city, it's not just the cities. It's not just Minneapolis and St. Paul, as you'll hear from the members of Congress. It is the suburbs where kids have been lured in and abducted. It is small towns all across.
I also heard the Senate Democrats are now threatening to shut the government down again over this shooting. Apparently there was supposed to be a funding bill that was trying to get passed, but now the Democrats are now threatening to shut the government down because of the shooting. And it's just like, okay, so now you guys want an excuse to shut down the government again because, like, you guys are demonizing ICE on a daily basis, and now that these people go out there and act because of your rhetoric, everyone else is supposed to sit there and like have to suffer now because you people are like literally just can't take your own responsibility and just stop using the talking points that you use to put ICE in a bad light. You know, ICE agents have to deal with a lot already as it is right now, and they're complaining about them wearing masks. Brody, they're being stalked right now. Like, you just seen, like, what, weeks ago? I think it was a couple of months ago. There was a shooting at an ICE facility. There was a guy on the roof right next door to the ICE facility with a sniper, a young kid, trying to kill them. Thank God nobody got shot. The kid didn't make it, of course, but it's just like, bro, what more do people need to understand that, bro, your demonizing rhetoric is what's getting these people killed. It's sending these protesters out here to go out there and it's basically emboldening them to feel like they can go out there and take the law, even though they don't even understand the law, into their own hands. Like attacking ICE officers, that is a federal crime, bro. They're federal law enforcement. What are you doing? That is a quick way to find yourself in jail, or worse, dead. Like, think before you act, bro. These people don't take their own responsibility. They want us to take responsibility, but they don't want to take their own responsibility.
Across our state, rural areas. This has gone way beyond some stated purpose of the fraud investigation or apprehending violent offenders. That's not what this is about anymore when you have 3,000 agents, overwhelming sworn police officers. I took part in that peaceful and powerful march yesterday, all those peaceful people. And then we wake up this morning to this horror. As members of Congress, we are calling on this administration to get ICE out of our towns.
Again, always sitting there blaming ICE, but it's never their fault, though. It's never their fault. Bro, what the hell? It's like I said before, it's always someone else's fault. It's never the Dems' fault. It's always people on the right's fault. The right is evil. The right doesn't have objective morality. You know, it's funny coming from a bunch of godless heathens. They sit up here, and most of these people are like sexual degenerates. Like, their entire religion is liberalism. Their entire religion is, you know, secularism. But these people don't believe in God, and they're telling you how you need to feel morally bad. And majority of these people don't even believe in God himself. Like, they're atheists, man. Newsflash. A lot of these people up here don't believe in any goodness in the world.
Our streets. It will make us more safe. We, as a congressional group up here, strongly oppose.
It's insane to me, bro. Like, they can come up here and preach objective morality. And look, again, loss of life is a sad thing. But at the same time, you cannot go out there and literally stop ICE agents from doing their jobs. Like, it's going to lead to worse consequences for you.
The ICE funding this week. We opposed it this summer when our Republican colleagues tripled the budget, $75 billion. It is now more than the FBI. They reduced the training from 5 months to 47 days. And these are the results. We are also calling for a full and transparent investigation.
Well, it's Border Patrol agent, and he's been on the job for like 5 years now. He hasn't been doing ICE operations because, like, they're stretched on a lot of ICE agents right now until, you know, more money comes in, and then they're able to hire 4 more agents right now to conduct the deportations. But this is a Border Patrol agent who's been on the job for, like, I think 5 years, I believe. So he does have experience, you know, just not in this type of field. So to sit up here and say that these guys do come from a background of like law enforcement, like, that's just like, they do have the experience.
We have done this before in Minnesota, coordinating with local and state and federal law enforcement. And if they're not going to do it, then they need to get out of the way and allow our very professional Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to conduct the investigation into these killings. And finally, we call on our Republican colleagues to stand with us. I know they know what's going on here because it's happening in their own districts. We have, of course, these shootings, but it is a lot more than that. They know that something's wrong when a Hmong elder is pulled out of a house in his underwear and slippers, and they figure out about an hour later they got the wrong guy, and in fact the guy they were looking for is actually in jail. Or a 2-year-old, a case my office worked on in addition to hundreds more, who's taken with her dad and then put on a plane to Texas when her mom is desperately trying to get her. We got her back, but none of this should be happening. None of it. So we call on our Republican colleagues to join us because we have warned this administration. I have personally warned them that there would be more deaths, that more of this would happen. And clearly they're not listening. So we ask people around the country to talk to their Republican representatives to make clear that this is not the America that is ours. This has got to stop. And with that, I turn it over to my colleague, Senator Smith.
All right. So we're moving on right now. I mean, now we're going to get Tampon Tim's reaction to this.
Into this presser with Governor Walz here.
Bob Jacobson to update the situation, joined here by Hennepin County Sheriff Witt, State Patrol Colonel, and General Menke, the Adjutant General of the Minnesota National Guard. Well, as I said last week, this federal occupation of Minnesota long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. It's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of our state. And today that campaign claims...
Bro, they're not dare to harass or target the local state people, bro. They're there to arrest legal immigrants, man. I generally just don't think like these people operate in reality. Like no one's there.
Another life. I've seen.
Sorry, no one's there to arrest the local residents. No, we're there to arrest illegal criminals that are here illegally in the country. Okay, no one's there to harass the local people. No one's there to do none of this. They're harassing ICE agents already as it is. They're allowed to protest. That's their constitutional right. But you have to understand what constitutes as lawful protest, and then what just drifts pretty much into a crime. So protesting and actually committing a crime are two different things. Like I hope people are listening right now. Protesting and a crime are two different things. Okay, you literally trying to impede on an ICE officer's job of arresting a illegal alien. That is a crime. You can't do that. Okay, and if you basically in any way possible, like if an ICE agent is trying to make an arrest and you put your hands on them or in any regard, you could even just slightly touch them. That is literally that takes away all autonomy from you. And now the ICE agent has a right to defend himself because that constitutes as self-defense. He's a right to pepper spray you. And if he feels like you have something on you, depending on the situation, I mean, he has a right to shoot. So, like I said before, I'm not saying he's just gonna shoot you right off the bat. Depending on the situation, he has a right to shoot you. Listen to what I'm saying, so that way you don't get my words twisted.
The videos from several angles, and it's sickening. But I have a strong statement here for our federal government. Minnesota's justice system will have the last word on this. It must have the last word. As I told the White House in no uncertain terms this morning, the federal government cannot be trusted to lead this investigation. The state will handle it, period. Let me say something else, and this is critically important. All of us understand what happened this morning and the tragedy of it, and my deepest sympathies to the family of a 37-year-old Minnesota resident, a lawful firearm concealed permit carrier, something that I've been lectured to by Republicans for decades, that is not only your right, it's your duty. We know that the potential to further inflame tensions is high. And to Minnesotans, there's a difference. We want calm and peace and normalcy back to our lives. They want chaos. We cannot and we will not give them what they want by meeting violence with violence. Minnesota and our local law enforcement, as you have seen, have done everything possible to de-escalate. Local media has reported extensively on the cooperation to de-escalate this situation. Donald Trump, I call on you once again, remove this force from Minnesota. They are sowing chaos and violence. We've seen deadly violence from federal agents again and again and again. But in contrast to that, on these frozen streets, what you witnessed yesterday was the best of Minnesotans, peacefully exercising their first...
I'm going to let this play. I got to go take a piss right quick, and I'll be right back, and then we can continue on.
First Amendment rights. And I attended in the church basement hundreds of Minnesotans from all faith packing care packages for families that have been ripped apart. Despite the horrific acts by this federal government, Minnesotans are standing up for the rule of law. They're protesting loudly and urgently, but peacefully. It must stay that way, Minnesota. Minnesotans are witnessing, and we're creating a log of evidence for the future prosecution of ICE agents and officials responsible for this. They're helping their neighbors. They're walking their kids to school. They're feeding families. I salute their courage and their restraint, and I call on all Americans to see the decency that this state is exhibiting and the horrific cruelty, unprofessional, absolute abomination that is passing for what these ICE agents are doing on our streets. They think they can provoke us into abandoning our values. Well, they're dead wrong. We'll keep the peace. We'll secure the justice with our neighbors, and we'll see this occupation ends. Minnesotans and Minnesota law enforcement that continuously is being denigrated by this administration will continue to be the adults in the room, the professionals in the room, the decent human beings in the room that will keep the peace. With this, I'd like to turn it over to Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bob Jacobson to update you on the situation as we know it.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
All right. All right, back. All right. Oh, shit. Let's continue on right now. So we got Tampon Tim. Now we're going to get Kristi Noem's point of view.
And have opened our National Response Coordination Center and are working with local and state authorities to make sure that we're getting individuals and communities pre-deployed resources that they may need, and also preparing them for the upcoming days, which will significantly impact them and their citizens. The Trump administration and FEMA are working closely with them to get them information.
Bro, fucking L YouTube right now.
To get them resources and to help them be prepared and well equipped for the road ahead as we go through this next week. But before I take any questions and give more details on the storm and its impact, I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country. At 9:05 a.m. Central Time, the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officials and officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic assault with intentionally inflicting bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. About hundreds of protesters then showed up at the...
Kristi and Pam Bondi are just like eye candy right now. They don't really do anything. Like, the only reason why Pam Bondi was even put as Attorney General is because Matt Gaetz turned down the job. If Matt Gaetz took the job like he originally was supposed to, I guarantee you we would not be dealing with the problems that we're dealing with right now when it comes to ICE and the deportation issues right now. And then, you know, Kristi Noem, she's just nothing but just like fucking eye candy. Like, worry about her makeup, worry about doing the press interviews, you know, looking good for all the time, all looking good for the press whenever they're present or whatever. Always got to make sure she has like her Hollywood looks on instead of actually making sure DHS is doing their job, you know. That's the one thing I get kind of pissed off about the hiring of both Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem. But again, the only reason why Trump did is because people kept calling him a misogynist. So he had less women in the first administration. Now in this administration, he has women in like in my opinion, 2 important roles besides Secretary of State and Department of War.
Scene. They began to obstruct and to assault law enforcement officers. We saw objects being thrown at them, including ice and other objects, and a rampant assault began, and even an HSI officer agent's finger was bitten off. Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our law enforcement officers. I'll remind you that Governor Walz today in his press conference said that our officers were not even law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's encouraged residents and citizens and violent rioters to resist. He's doxed their identities, putting themselves and their families' lives in jeopardy. He's refused to turn over murderers to federal law enforcement officers. He's protected illegal criminals and protected them from being brought to justice, and even overseen a historic, unprecedented theft of American taxpayer dollars. Tens of billions of dollars were stolen under his watch, and he allowed it to happen, and in some instances may have even facilitated it. In other cities and states across the country, we don't see this happen. Local, state, and officials work with us to make sure that we're making their streets safer. I'll point to the city of Memphis, which is where there is a Democrat mayor in place. He worked with us and our federal law enforcement officers, and we saw murder rates drop by 50% because of that partnership. We've seen historic lows in the criminal acts that have happened in that city. We've had the same amount of law enforcement officers there, but a very different result because of the leadership in place. Last week, ICE did over 2,000 different operations, and we saw people be brought to justice and the American people made safer because of that work. We don't have this problem in Texas or in Florida because those individuals in those states work with us, and they make sure that they keep peace and calm while they bring criminals to justice. In Minneapolis, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, they instead choose violence. They instead choose to encourage the destruction of...
She's not wrong. She's not wrong on that either. Yes, they definitely do choose to not work with the federal law enforcement, and instead choose to tell state local officials don't do anything. just when they come, because they can't legally tell them just to get the fuck out. They can't. Once they enter a sanctuary, sanctuary state or city, state, local officials don't have the authority because this is above their pay grade. Pretty much the president is the only one that has full authority over the federal law enforcement. Besides, Pam Bundy and then Chrissy Nome at the lower levels, but the president only has the higher authority to control ICE and other operations or whatever. So, state local officials, all they could do is just pretty much just go and like bitch about it on the news or go tweet about it on X. So, but the other thing they could do is, this is what's leading to a lot of these killings. That's what's going on, and a lot of people getting hurt in Minnesota. Is tell local law enforcement not to assist ICE. Like I mentioned earlier, this is what's leading to a lot of people being hurt, tased, arrested, and so much property damage right now. I mean, I don't know how many times I could keep seeing a video of like protesters just randomly destroying public property because they hate ICE so much, and for some reason they have to go destroy public property. And the next thing you know, they start looting the property. They start looting the store or whatever they destroyed. I don't know what does have to do with a protest, but hey, some bombs have to attach themselves to something, and they got to get them something out of this, because like they're not even there to really protest. They're just there to loot stores.
Their city and the crime against their people. It appears that they want this lawlessness to continue. It appears that they want chaos to distract from the theft and the fraud and the corruption of their city. I'll remind you that this city has been corrupt for years with what we've seen with people that have been stealing taxpayer money, all under the leadership of Governor Walz and Mayor Fry. I'm asking for all the authorities in Minneapolis and the leaders to work with us. And there are two things that we have repeatedly asked the governor and the mayor to do. Number one, all we want them to do is that when they are going to release a dangerous criminal from their jails, turn them over to us so we can get them out of this country as soon as possible. Since we have been back in the White House with President Trump's leadership, they have released over 490 criminals onto their streets rather than allow us to get them out of the country to keep families safe. The second thing that we have asked the governor and the mayor to do is to help us keep people safe. Just give us backup on the streets while we do our targeted operations to get illegal criminals out of our country, and then we wouldn't have to be there facing these types of situations that we face with violent rioters who are impacting and attacking our law enforcement officers. That's all. Those are the two requests that we've asked of them. We've asked them to help us do that so that we can continue to see success in Minneapolis like we see in so many other cities and communities across the country. But they have refused because they want us talking about attacking law enforcement officers instead of the fraud and the theft that they facilitated in Minnesota. One thing I'd like to do before I take your questions on that situation on the storm is give you a few facts about the storm and what we're facing here in the coming days. This storm is going to produce heavy snow. It's going to produce dangerous freezing rain and ice and life-threatening wind chills that will be sustained for days. Power outages, road closures, and other impacts have already started to impact the Midwest, the South, and the East Coast. The most important thing that people can do across this country is to please stay off the roads, to stay home when possible, unless you absolutely have to be out and about. That will not only ensure that you and your family are safe, but that emergency responders aren't out there trying to rescue you when they could be out doing other work to proactively keep people safe and at home. Stay alert by listening to different announcements from your local officials and from your state. We want to remind everybody that in these emergency disaster situations, it's your local officials and local emergency managers that that go out and execute response to these disasters. Your states manage it, and the federal government is here to support. We're here and have been opened and visiting and talking with all of the governors and local leaders to make sure they have everything that they need ahead of time and that we can be as prepared as possible for what is going to unfold in the coming days. I want you to make sure that you get the chance to visit the website ready.gov to see recommendations and advice for how you can protect your family and be prepared for the storm that is coming. We have 17 different states and the District of Columbia that have already declared states of emergency. President Trump has already approved emergency declarations at the federal level for these following states: for South Carolina, the Commonwealth of Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, Maryland, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Indiana, and West Virginia. I'm sure there will be more coming, and we are turning those around immediately to make sure that states have the resources from the federal government that they've requested. I have spoken several times on conference calls, but also called personally governors and local leaders to facilitate the partnership that we need to help keep this federal response streamlined with their state responses. The Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, CISA, our cybersecurity team focused on the electrical grid and our critical infrastructure, the Coast Guard and our other federal partners are all embedded in state operation centers across the country. Governors remain in the lead on these responses, and we are continuously talking to them to see what they need to continue to take care of their citizens and make sure that people are safe. I activated the National Response Coordination Center, which is where you are right now, 2 days ago, and we are monitoring the storm and coordinating federal support for the affected areas. At my direction, FEMA has already pre-positioned commodities in many locations across the country. We've embedded partners in state emergency operations centers, and we've deployed IMAT teams, incident management assistant teams, with dozens more ready to deploy at any moment, besides those that have already been pre-positioned. We have dozens of urban search and rescue teams that are ready to go out and to save lives in partnership with our local and state authorities should that become necessary. We do have tens of thousands of people in affected states in the South that have lost power. We have utility crews that are working to restore that as quick as possible, and we expect to continue to see that as ice builds on power lines and trees are affected and we see more damage. But we have partnered with our energy companies and rural electric communities to make sure that we are able to facilitate the repairs as soon as possible to get the power on, especially in light of the cold temperatures that we see.
All right, so that's just pretty much she just yapping right now. Yeah, so let's go ahead and move on. We already see that. So, well, this is not necessarily pertaining to the case. This is not pertaining to the shooting. I just thought this was pretty funny. Apparently some IT guys being cooked by his wife. I mean, color me surprised. I might say that for like a chill stream. You know, talk about this on like a chill stream, because like we this is kind of like a serious political show right now, so we need to really focus on the topic at hand. But like, it's about something about a hiring a Russian nanny, I guess. Like his wife wants him to hire like some hot Russian nanny as a test his loyalty to her. I'll say that for another show. So let's get into one thing for sure. And I found this one interesting. So Dave Smith and Matt Walsh has been going at it over this shooting right now. You know, they've been going back and forth on X about this. So now we're gonna touch up a little bit on that and see, and pretty much see the fighting between it going on between them, and see the difference between ideology, because Dave Smith is a libertarian. You know, Dave somewhat agrees with the right wing, but he's not fully right wing, because libertarians are like center. They have certain views that lean a little left. They have some other views that lean right. And like we talked about yesterday about libertarian, like economics, like when it pertains to like the, you know, what's the standard economic system like in America or whatever, what's the economic philosophy that most people believe in? And it always goes back to libertarian. So as it goes on right here, fix my face right quick. As it goes on right here, an immigration restrictionist, I am an immigration restrictionist. I believe that we have the right to remove any and all people who enter our country illegally. Also, ICE is out of fucking control. A bunch of pussies drunk on power going around intentionally escalating violent interactions and intimidating U.S. citizens. Bro, come on, Dave. Can you be even more wrong than ever, bro? They create these tragic situations, and after this gigantic show of force, they won't deport a fraction of the illegals who enter under Biden. This is simply not worth it. He's got a point on that last one. So Matt Walsh saw this tweet and says, this is, bro, I'm on YouTube, bro. Come on, Matt. Man, I'm on YouTube, bro. X is a different place, bro. Like on X, like, this is a different ball game compared to YouTube, bro. So I'm trying not to say certain words that's gonna get me. I don't want this to get hit with like, I want to be able to monetize this video, you know. But you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. This is retarded. ICE agents are simply enforcing the law of the land. They aren't even rounding up normal illegal aliens. They're almost exclusively targeting violent criminals, gangsters, and sex offenders. Leftists are out here in the street breaking about 10 different laws in an attempt to intervene with law enforcement, all in the name of defending violent criminal aliens who shouldn't be in this country in the first place. And you put the blame on ICE. They're the one who are out of control. Fucking insane. Total nonsense. Embarrassing. Damn, Matt Walsh with the takedown right there. I'm starting to, you know, me and Matt Walsh disagree about Israel, but I really am starting to see, like, I could see me, Matt Walsh was starting to kind of like agree a lot more on a lot more things than I thought we did. Like, W. Matt Walsh. So this is Dave Smith's rebuttal. This is bro, I should have fucking opened these tabs earlier so that way they could have loaded it. But yeah, bro, now this even got like Dave Smith and Matt Walsh basically going at it back and forth on the timeline right now. Close up some of these tabs too as well. Close up some of these tabs. Let's close up some of these. Okay, so Dave Smith's response is, oh, now the Israeli wire guy addresses me. It's always when they think I'm on the wrong side of a popular right-wing issue. Come have a discussion. We'll see who gets embarrassed. Check with your boss to see if you're allowed. Damn. Okay. I'll be interested to see that debate if it's possible. So incredibly, okay. Well, that's loading right quick. Let me close up some of these tabs because I have a lot of tabs open. All right, so if you're just tuning into the stream right now, we are reading the tweets between Matt Walsh and Dave Smith going back and forth right now. So if you're just tuning in right now, I forgot to open up this gigantic tab that I have with all these windows open. Okay, incredibly unsurprising that you didn't address any of my points, which is true. He didn't address his points, and instead pivoted immediately to Israel. Nobody's impressed with this routine anymore. Dave, why don't you stick to the subject at hand and explain why you're siding with open borders communist? He's got a point. Matt Walsh seems like he's the one coming out stronger in this exchange because like they always pivot to Israel. Like the whole purpose is we need to stick on what's really going on. Israel doesn't really matter right now in this instance because we're talking about illegal immigration, bro. We're talking about deportations right now. Israel doesn't fucking matter right now. I got a point about that. So an armed leftist went out with a gun to deliberately interfere with legitimate law enforcement operations. Give it a minute. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you like the stream. We're gonna be going for a while longer tonight. We already reached the hour mark. Hour 34. We're probably gonna reach another 5 hours probably tonight. Probably not. I'm probably gonna reach like 2 hours maybe. Because last night I did a 5-hour chill stream. An armed leftist went out with a gun to deliberately interfere with legitimate law enforcement operations. And I'm seeing some conservatives on this site claim that it might be ICE's fault that the guy is now dead. Insane. Some of you people would never fucking learn. Yeah. W. Okay, so this one right here is going to be an interesting one. Now we're going to talk about. So this one is speaking about a secret signal chat that's between not only activists and local, Minneapolis residents in Minnesota, but this also involves state officials that are also complicit in like trying to basically orchestrate and use state resources to impede on ICE. Cam Higbee exposed this. This was a big story right here. This is crazy that this got exposed. Like this is right here is literally like people, there needs to be arrest. There needs to be accountability right now. We're not seeing nothing so far, but this got exposed and this was literally insane to me. So Minneapolis signal infiltrated. I have infiltrated. Oh, let me go right here. I have infiltrated organizational signal groups all around Minneapolis with the sole intention of tracking down federal agents and impeding, assaulting, and obstructing them. Buckle up. All will be revealed. Each area of the city has a signal or several signals. Let's start with the screen recording of all members of the South Side group to start. Bro, this is insane. So let's go ahead and jump into this right quick. This is all the people in that signal group chat right here. All of them. This is local residents and local activists and local officials too. Bro, this is insane to me. And the crazy part about it, we still don't have arrest yet. We don't have any arrest. We don't have nobody in cuffs. We don't have anybody being dragged off to jail yet. We don't, like, to know that this is going on right now and it's been revealed by independent journalists, it's crazy to me how we don't have nobody arrested yet. So let's go down right here. Okay, I have been undercover inside the groups for days. You'll notice emojis next to the people's names. Here's a key for what those emojis mean. The highlighted positions are the most critical. Most are self-explanatory. Mobile patrols spend their entire shift searching for suspicious vehicles. When they find out, they send it to the group so that plate checkers can comprehend with their database and see if it's a known federal vehicle, or if the patrol can make the confirmation so that the database can be updated. So you may be wondering right now, how is it that they're able to check plates using a certain database? Shouldn't that be regulated to maybe, I don't know, state officials that has only that type of software to be able to do stuff like that? And you might be correct. Like I said earlier, there are state officials that are also involved, and we're going to go over that in just a moment. When they find one, they send it to the group so that plate check. Okay, I already read that part. The dispatch runs a maxed out call all day telling protesters where ICE has been spotted and how they can be impeded. As you can see right here, this is mobile control dispatch, license plate checker. So for each occupation or shift position, protesters have to undergo training. It's unclear what the training entails, other than numerous slides of instructions. I've seen mentioned repeatedly who is paying for all of this. That is a good question. So as you can see right here. So tonight we offer a Bloomington patrol training at 8 p.m. A signal call is limited to 75 users. We will offer additional training sessions at the future date. So if you do not get to attend, know there would be other sessions at 8 p.m. Bro, this is like a professional set. Like, bro, who the fuck is really paying for all this stuff? Still, I haven't been able to take a patrol training. Was previously in the patrol training group, but left since I wasn't actively engaging. Requested to rejoin several days ago when I finally had time to do it. I still have not been let in. Does anyone know how I can go about getting back in the patrol training group, or what other training options there are? So it goes right down here. Statement by Rep. Okay, so they're just reporting where ICE Detention Center is at. If you want to read that one, more than welcome to. I'll link the entire thread. Okay, so each chat for a specific part of each city has smaller districts broken up within it called patrol zones, which guide ICE chasers on where they should be positioned. Okay, here's a screen recording of their plate database as well as link to the instructions. Okay, so let's go do this right quick. There's no way like a bunch of like activists and protesters could be able to do this efficiently, like by themselves, unless they did not have local state officials involved. This is like the way this is all set up. Like, bro, this is like beyond some of these paid protesters' pay grade. Wow, this is insane. This is insane. Okay, so this one's important. Here's a screenshot of the active dispatch call. It's always active, as well as a shift change. You can see folks are changing their emojis, clocking in and out. I also attached below a video of dispatch actually tracking the vehicle I was in, claiming that we were ICE. Confirmed ICE. They constantly misidentify vehicles. Pay attention to emojis tagged on plate checks. Okay, let's see. Profile. Okay, so that's how they're able to change. Okay, so that's how they rotate shifts right here. As you can see right here, the emojis are right there. Okay. So I'm guessing they're like car trackers or something. So let's go over here to the video.
white Chevy Silverado with the newly changed plates with the coexist sticker on the back. We're on Irving and Lake Street going north on Irving. We seem to be the only commuters following. Just wanted to give an update on our location.
Thank you. Do you have anyone in the car with you?
Yes, I do.
Lovely. Thank you.
And we are getting a photo sent to the chat for confirmation.
This is John 612. That we are at Grand and Lake. We're heading toward Irving. We can try and join you.
Thank you, John 612.
Hey, this is Lokito. I'm getting some messages from the WhatsApp group that they're driving around on 28, 29 Pleasant and Pillsbury Avenue. If you want to swing by there first, I'm making my way down that way as well. I am on Lake and Park.
I'll relay to the Spanish chat, or sorry, relay to the Uptown Whittier.
Tired.
Thanks, Aaron.
That Ford just gray Ford just passed.
On the car.
Please go on mute. John 612, please go on mute.
It's going to be a right, the next right.
Lokito, go ahead.
The next right, Chicago.
Wow. This is insane right here. You mean to tell me that, bro, this is like they're running a literal operation just, bro. It's not a successful operation as you could tell because like the operations clearly they have a lot of like fuck ups right now because like they misidentify vehicles license plates and automatically just assume like if it's like a weird looking vehicle, of course they make it look like it's ICE or something. But this is like insane.
That gray F-150 just drove past me on the opposite way towards Cedar. That was on Lake and Park.
That's us.
Thanks.
You could say we've got 2 commuters behind that F-150.
That's confirmed.
Do we have anyone in this call who's at 28th, 29th Pleasant right now? Lokito, you're not there, correct?
Don't wave at them. Do not wave.
Correct. I am on 3rd and Lake. I will be there in probably like 2 or 3 minutes.
This is Liv. I'm at Cedar and Lake going west. Do you want me to keep an eye out?
I'm concerned about the reports from the Spanish WhatsApp about 28th to 29th and Pleasant. Ern's relaying to Uptown, but Lokito, if you could head there, if you're up for heading there and you're only a minute or 2 out, that'd be great.
29th Pleasant.
Hey, this is Fubar. We're also about a minute out.
Now the next one's going to be the video of them, being tracked by a vehicle because they assuming that's Ken Higby and his crew are ICE.
5 observers are on there. KM, I'll probably have you stay on that F-150, but anyone else that's on this call that is currently on that F-150, I think we could use our resources and energy better somewhere else.
I agree. If there's somewhere you want to send us, that's great. Otherwise, we could go up into Phillips.
If you want to go up into Phillips, that's great. I'm going to attempt a roll call here in a minute. Got it. Sprout, do you have a passenger?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, KM, you disengage.
Bruh. Can they not make it look obvious that they're following them? They're just making it look so obvious that they're following them. Oh shit. Oh shit! So sped off right there. Okay, so here's a recording of protesters actively telling the vehicle I was in, labeling me, and instructing commuters, ICE chasers, to follow me.
White Chevy Silverado.
I think this is the same video.
That's
Thanks.
You could say we've got 2 commuters behind that F-150.
All right, so that's the same one. This is a new.
We're not ICE. Why are you guys following us? And they leave like right when we get out of the car. We're not ICE. We're not ICE. We're following them because they were following us. No? You look suspicious as fuck.
You people are not law enforcement. What the fuck are you talking about? You can't go and follow someone around because you think if they're still federal law enforcement, you think you could go around and harass them. You know, that would be a bad day for you, buddy. But bro, these people really think they could just take the law into their own hands. And the reason why they're emboldened to do this stuff is because local law enforcement, local state officials are encouraging this behavior, bro. Like, this is insane to me.
Wait, so should people follow and harass any suspicious looking person? Get out of here. Why are you guys following us? We're not ICE.
Oh, and they...
These people have become so paranoid about ICE. Like, bro, they wake up every day in their life and just like see those 3 letters and just like, oh gosh, ICE, 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 baby. You ever listen to that Vanilla Ice song back in the day? Ice, ice, baby. Boom, 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 boom. Ice, ice, baby. Like, I guarantee you, these people literally cannot wake up and like they envision ICE every day in their life. Like every day they're having like nightmares about ICE, the ICE officers. Like now it's gotten to the point where they're believing any vehicle that looks suspicious is ICE. It's crazy.
It's a nice vehicle, right?
No.
It's not an ICE
Get in your
vehicle.
truck, get the fuck out.
Why?
Because you need to go. Confirmed ICE.
We're not ICE.
Yeah, same to the people that you're abducting. Get out.
We're not abducting.
Bruh, I guarantee, bro, this looks like something you see off of a movie, bro. These people are in cults. And they call MAGA a cult, but it's like, bro, these people act like they're more of a cult group than MAGA.
We're being followed. They're following us, and they came up. We didn't even know they were following us until they came up and said, "We've been following you, reporter." Independent
Go report something.
Okay.
Go to the airport.
We don't want people following us.
Go to the airport.
And holding us.
Go to the airport.
They're right behind you.
Yeah, all the way back to where we're staying, right?
Great.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. Why we're Americans. Why are we being forced out of a neighborhood? We're reporters.
We have Americans being detained.
We're not detaining anybody.
Yeah, they're not. They're not Americans. They're illegal aliens. Like, bro, these people are fucking insufferable, bro. Fucking insufferable. How are you gonna tell American citizens, like, you're trying to force American citizens out of a neighborhood? It's a free country, bro. We can walk around anywhere we want to. You guys don't own the fucking neighborhood or whatever. That's owned by the government. Okay? You don't fucking tell us where the fuck to go or whatever. You can't force us out of a neighborhood because you people don't like laws being enforced. You fucking freaks, bro. These people piss me off.
Who are claiming to be federal agents.
We're not claiming that.
So you can tell we're a little bit on edge.
That's fine, but it doesn't give you the right to run people out of town.
Yeah, so why are you here, though? I mean,
we're reporters.
Are you gonna join the protest against
We are reporters.
You're reporters too.
They don't have to be able to be there to join the protest. That could be there, say, on vacation. Like, these people are fucking... What the fuck's going on, man?
I'm an independent journalist. I sell my footage.
What's your handle?
What's my handle?
Yeah.
I sell my footage.
Really? Yeah, you're pretty established.
I sell my
Where are
footage.
your press credentials?
I have them in my pocket. I showed them
You have
repeatedly.
press credentials?
Yes, they're in my pocket. 1 second.
The fact that he has to pull that out just to verify something is crazy to me. So Minneapolis signal infiltrate. Okay, so it goes on. A new group chat for each zone is made each day. The chats are deleted at the end of each day. This is likely to avoid detection. Record keeping, I mean. Yep, record keeping and consequences. my midday, the group chats hit maximum capacity. 1,000 people allowed by signal, and the people who are not chasing federal agents are asked to leave to create room for those who are. The dispatch calls also reach maximum capacity constantly. I believe it's 50 people maximum, which means at any given time in each small zone, there are 50 people chasing agents. Whoa. So the quasi police force uses a system called Salute, which calls out the size of federal units, actively locations, uniforms, times, and locations. They then instruct their ICE chasers to follow and confront agents at their known locations. They are everywhere, and local police are cooperating. So, like I said, local state officials and some local law enforcement are also involved. Here, an observer calls out a possible agent but says she's just out walking her dog, so can't continue on. Dispatch call for backup. Also, below is a message indicating that local PD may get involved if ICE hinders public safety. What the fuck? As you can see right here, not clearly on foot walking the dog, so had to leave the scene, jurisdiction, and to call back if they hindered public safety. These dogs apparently have a home base, though I haven't been able to identify it. Here is an ICE chaser indicating that he is expected there. Heading east on foot. Home base is expecting me. Should be off call in 15 minutes. Bro, this is crazy. Here are chasers discussing what should be done after realizing they positively identified my vehicle as ICE, but then found out it was me. I believe the person might be aggressive individual in the second photo. Had an issue today with a plate confirmed ICE, bro. These people are so fucking retarded. While they have been at the Whipley, according to the records, that vehicle is either owned or rented by Cam Higbee. We unfortunately made a spectacle trying to chase them off from a protest. We helped make a propaganda video. Any way we can come up with a way to tag not ICE, but fuck them all the same. I'm confused about that question. Do not want to make that a mistake again. Okay. So here is more dispatch chatter where they tweak out when they discover a vehicle. Whistles and horns can be heard in the background. The dispatcher asks for photos and videos of the plate for documentation purposes.
The person that just asked for a plate check a minute ago that said 218 AF.
Yeah, it's a white Chevy pickup truck.
Thank you. If you can get documentation, video, or photos of that plate on that car, we can document. Thank you.
All right, yep, getting that for you.
Update on the corner of 32nd and update on the corner of 32nd and 15th. It's Kia, Massachusetts. Folks are whistling at this. It looks like this is a confirmed ICE vehicle. The men inside are appear to be ICE, according to the people who are up there. The window, they have gators.
The person that just asked for a...
All right. You can hear, you can definitely hear the whistles in the background, bro. So protesters used a mutual aid system. I tried to join the mutual aid, that for Bloomington. And the mission told me that it was a vetted chat for teachers and that I need to describe my relationship to his school. What? Interesting. And give my name and give my real name. I couldn't do that, so I never made it in. Why are the teachers aiding in this effort, bro? It seems like this is a coordinated effort from all different types of work fields. ICE chaser operations go all night. The dispatch call is 24/7. These are messages screenshot at 2 a.m. asking for observers at a location with potential illegals. It's from a vetted chat called Wolfpack. The court, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys this so you guys can get like a clear picture. So you can see this is from Wolfpack. The coordinates frequently delete messages to cover their tracks. This is another layer of security on top of the daily chat refreshers. Yeah, they delete the messages. I guess they got it set to that, or they manually do it themselves. Here is an admin list for several chats. These generally consist of code names. Yeah, so none of these people use their real names. They're just all use, like, you know, names that they probably like use for like an internet name or whatever, or just because they don't, just in case the chat, which it got leaked. You know, now they can never truly know what their names are or whatever. But some of these people actually do use their real names, and Alex Prete is actually in this group. You're gonna see in a moment. He actually was part of this group. So breaking news: Minnesota Signal group leader identifies Amanda. So right here, Minnesota Signal group leader identifies Amanda. That's a Jewish last name. A protest organization and campaign strategist Tim Walz. But yeah, it is important. Let me see. Give you guys a clear view so you guys can look and see. I'll give you guys a full look at all these names right here. This is all the made up names that are used for this group chat. Before we go into that, all right. Now let's go back to this right here. Just want to let you guys see that in case you guys want to look over it yourself or whatever. But let's go back to this. So this one's important right here because this right here is an indication of a state official being involved with a known group that is trying to stop and disrupt federal law enforcement from doing their jobs, which is called upon from the federal government. So we'll go and read it again. Breaking: Minnesota Signal group leader identifies Amanda Cooler, a protest organizer and campaign strategist for Tim Walz. So that right there is a clear indication of what I would call insurrection. And she works for Tim Walz directly. So this is like, without even admitting it, but it clear as day can tell, Tim Walz is in some ways involved with this. Now, I don't know if he's directly involved or if he just has Amanda Cooler doing all the work while working with these people, but it seems like to me clear as day that in some ways he is involved with this group too, because he has literally his organizer and campaign strategist working with this group. It'd be a big news story if Tim Walz was actually exposed as being part of this group chat too as well, but his strategist, it's the next best thing, because like this is an indication that this is an insurrection. So, and let's go over here. So we go over here to Minnesota State. Bruh, give it a minute. Bruh, exhausted. Hope you guys enjoying the show so far right now. But yes, we are exposing a very big conspiracy right now. A very, very big conspiracy right now, of a clear indication of like insurrection. But anyways, let's go on. So breaking: Minnesota State Senate candidate Anita Smithson identified as dispatcher in anti-ICE signal group. Here you go down right here. This is this guy's face right here. That is him right there. Well, actually, no, that's not him. I think this is her. Yeah, that's her. My bad. I don't know who the hell this guy is. Anyways, yeah, that's her. Anita Smithson identified as dispatcher in anti-ICE signal group chat. Bro, this is all making the case for like in a case of insurrection. Like, bro, what more evidence do you need that this is a pure full-on like insurrection being committed right now in Minneapolis, and yet we're not arresting people, we're not charging people with insurrection? Like, bro, these people are literally working and using state resources to stop local, you know, not stop local, to stop federal law enforcement from doing their jobs. Like, again, Tim Walz and Jacob Fry did concede later on, and you're gonna when we go over that post, we'll talk more about that. But like, bro, this was pissing me off when I was reading all this, when I was getting this tab ready. Local Minneapolis politician Dave Snyder identifies an admin in anti-ICE signal group. So, bro, it just gets worse and worse for Minnesota right now, because like you got locals, state officials that are working with these people too, and yet no one's getting arrested. Why is no one getting arrested right now? I don't know. So, and I think if we scroll down here, this is Dave Snyder. So these people are working with literal like anarchists, communists, you know, every worst they could think of. They're working with these people to stop federal law enforcement from carrying out deportations. Like, bro, where's the Insurrection Act at, bro? All right, Cam Higgy reveals Alex Prete was part of anti-ICE signal group. So he definitely was not an innocent guy. I mean, this right here is a very clear indication that, yeah, Alex Prete was not an innocent guy. As a matter of fact, he was a part of this group. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the guy's part of the group. And then the dumb part about it is he's walking around with a loaded gun, even though he has a license to carry, but you're going to get involved in the middle of like ICE trying to detain and try to quell a problem, especially with like a protester that got aggressive with them first. They're trying to deal with the situation. You're going to get involved with a loaded gun and you didn't disclose that point. I mean, you're just asking to get shot at that point. Okay, so break it confirmed. A neighbor told the Mirror U.S. So this one right here, but when it loads up, this one right here is very important, because like this verifies that report even more, because this is coming from a neighbor who told the Mirror U.S., a news group, that Alex Prete was part of this group, to double verify this claim. So that Alex Prete was part of the signal group targeting ICE in Minnesota. So this is this is pretty much just like the double verify that claim that yes, he was part of the signal group as well. So to basically, if someone wants to dispute that or whatever, you actually have a witness there that can verify this claim that yes, he was part of this group. Let's go over here. So this is her right here. This is all the officials that are involved right now. This is everyone that's being involved, and this is all the people that need to be arrested and charged with insurrection. Give it a minute. Okay. Like I said, it's my fault. I should have opened up the tab and let all these things loaded up before I came on stream. It's my fault, everyone. I should have did that. I had this ready to go like for 2 days. Leak signal chat. Yep. This is everyone right here that was revealed in to be involved and to be actively assisting everyone in the signal group chat. These are all the officials that are a part of this. So all three of these people close to Tim Walz, it's clear as day that you'd be crazy to sit here and tell me that he's not involved in some ways with them, that he doesn't know that this is going on, and that he doesn't know about this, that he pretty much, to me, the reason why he's probably not going to be in this is because like if he got caught being part of this would be far worse for him. This is probably why he probably told like his strategist to basically get involved and help out. Because if he done it, bruh, it would have been far worse if Tim Walz got exposed by being in this chat. But people that work around him and the local state officials that are using state resources is just as worse, if not, you know, far worse if he was involved directly. But spiritually, because like his strategist is involved, and it's clear as day, strategist has a direct line to him. It's clear as day that he knows that they were involved. That's the reason why that's why he's complying now. So now we're gonna get Alex Prete's ex-wife speaking about him. Alex Prete had protested before. Prete's ex-wife, who spoke to the AP, this is from the Associated Press, by the way, but later said she didn't want her name used. Said she was not surprised he would have been involved in protesting Trump's immigration crackdown. She said he had not spoken to him since they divorced more than 2 years ago. She moved to another state. She said he was a Democratic voter in that he had participated in the wave of street protests following the killing of George Floyd by Minneapolis police officer in 2020, not far from the couple's neighborhood. Yeah, you can already tell this guy was radicalized. Like, he's one of those BLM types, like that's far left, you know, communist, you know, self-hating white who hates America and wants it to be brown up with a bunch of third worlders. She described him as someone who might shout at law enforcement officers at a protest, but she had never known him to be physically confrontational. Of course, that changed now. She said Prete got a permit to carry a concealed firearm about 3 years ago, and that he owned at least one semi-automatic handgun when they separated. So, okay, so if you work for the organization, give it a minute. Yeah, so, bro, this gets worse every time, bro. Like, bro, the state of Minnesota is fucked, man. I'm telling you, the state of Minnesota is fucked. I generally don't know how fucking this state really be. So if you work for an organization or a consultant that had anything to do with this, you need to quit your job today. Bro, they're asking for donations too as well. Expert Day is the limit. Gov Tim Walz in the operation. Stand with us. Donate $50 for 200% match. Bro, what the fuck? Okay, this tweet has broken containment. So I should say this. This isn't the Democratic Party. This isn't a reputable community group. These are scammers using tools they shouldn't be able to access to rip people off, pay themselves, and make the entire system worse for everyone. Bro, this is crazy. So this is Pam Bondi, and this is her response to all this right now, which, again, goes back to my rant earlier about Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem, that they're completely useless and they don't need to be involved in this at all. And honestly speaking, I mean, like, the only reason they even got jobs is because Trump got called a misogynist so many times during his first administration, because he had lack of women in his first administration, which no one was really complaining about. It's just a bunch of fucking butthurt people that want women to be involved in everything. So she decides to go on Fox News and talk about she was going to write a stern letter to Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, which is the most asinine shit I've ever heard in my life.
Rape, homicide, manslaughter. That's who they're trying to protect in Minnesota. I do not understand these people.
Let's up the quality a little bit.
We sent Governor Walz a very strong letter today. We had been working on this letter. We got it out saying that he better support President Trump. He better support the men and women in law enforcement, because if he doesn't, we are. And that's what we're doing right now.
Were there any consequences in this letter?
Well, we'll see. This is fluid. Let's see how Governor Walz responds. Let's see what he does based on this, based on what's happening right now. But this administration is going to support the citizens. We're going to support our great men and women in law enforcement. Rape.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, this stupid, bruh. Let me watch my language because I'm on YouTube. But this stupid bimbo doesn't have the kahunas to do what is necessary right now. Like, what are you talking? A letter? Bro, a letter? Bro, you could be sending agents down there to kick in their doors and take them and arrest them. You talking about sending a fucking letter? What the fuck is, bro? This is why Trump needs to fire Pam Bondi. I don't know why she's still employed. How does this woman still have a fucking job? Bro, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me how Pam Bondi is still employed. And she's just fucking like pathetic at doing her job right. These people committed insurrection. And you you're telling Trump you're gonna write a fucking letter? Bro, she should have been fired a long time ago. This is crazy to me. This is crazy to me. Like, bro, like, this is, if Matt Gaetz was doing this job, this shit would have been, the officers would have been at Tim Walz and Jacob Fry's door, and they would have been arresting them and charging them with insurrection, and then the National Guard would have been deployed by now. They're probably in Trump's ear telling them they don't need to do this, they don't need to go through with that. That would be very harsh. Like, that's the thing about Trump, that he cares too much about optics. Because, like, that's the problem with, like, he thinks too much about how people perceive him. If he didn't give a fuck about that stuff, he would have been charged them with an insurrection, and he would have been sending the National Guard to deal with this problem, to assist ICE when they're committing deportations, and to also use local state law enforcement to assist ICE too as well, because these people do not want to assist ICE at all. They want ICE to get mobbed by the mob. They want ICE to be assaulted by a bunch of protesters that don't know no fucking better, which is going to lead to them getting shot. But yet you got this stupid bimbo who doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, bro. I don't know how she still has a job. So this one right here is very important. I'm going to go over the tweet, let it load for a minute. But just like, bro, just to go back off of what I just said a second ago, it's just like, bro, this is insane to me. Like, a letter. This is you showing them like you're big and bad by writing a fucking letter. I don't understand this lack of like this is just completely pathetic, man. Okay, so what CamHB showed us, they have access to the national database to track, to trace license plates in real time, meaning someone in law enforcement is passing on plate read data. Not only that they were notified of police shifts changes from within the department, it's organized crime. I don't know how any else way. I don't know how any other way to put that. This tweet really sums up what I've been saying the entire stream so far. Like, this is literally like an organized group. This is an organized crime unit, and yet no one's getting arrested. Like, we coil the problem and deal with the problem already it is, and then we can have ICE agents safely do their jobs without having these retards go out there and try to stop them from doing their jobs because they don't know the law, they don't understand the law, nor do they care to know the law. These people literally just in their feelings and just reacting emotionally. It's crazy to me. Writing a letter to these people, like, what the fuck, bro? That is just literally the stupidest thing I ever heard. Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi are just completely useless to the job, bro. You should have just put men in charge of those departments and let them do their jobs. Pam Bondi, she's come in, has done a complete fuck up at all. She cannot do anything right ever since she's come and took the job of the position of Attorney General. You know, if Pete Hegseth got confirmed, Matt Gaetz would have definitely got confirmed. It's crazy to me, like, how you turn on a position and allow Pam Bondi to come in and take the position, and then, like, you look and see what type of job she's doing. A terrible job, bro. Like, please, Trump could say this right now just by firing Pam Bondi and let Matt Gaetz take the job like he was originally supposed to. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the legality aspect of this shooting. So we've got everything else out of the way. So now let's get to the legality. Was this a lawful shot or not? And we got the best in the business, Andrew Brinka, the Andrew from the Andrew Brinka show YouTube channel. So one of the best legal advisors that specializes in self-defense on YouTube. So he's gonna break this down better for you guys than ever, because I can give you my opinion about what it was it lawful or not, but I need to give you guys a legal expert. And then we also have another expert up here. We have Myron Gaines, former Homeland Security officer, who was on the job, understands the job just as much as Andrew Branca does too as well. So we're about to give two perspective of two important, specialists who know exactly what they're talking about, and not people that are just going off their feelings and just crying about because they hate law enforcement. So make sure you like the video. We're about to break this down now and get this over with. We're clicking close to the end right now. I say make sure you like the video. If this fucking video come on, what the fuck's going on? Let me restart the tab right quick, because I think that's why it's not loading. Okay, that should do. Okay, so now we're about to get into the legality aspect of the shooting now.
So the struggle begins. He's being dragged down, trying to compel compliance. Strikes, open palm strikes to the face. There, see the hands open? It's not being punched. Try to compel compliance. The guy who's crouched over under that silver bar, he's going to straighten up. This is when the shot is fired, right here. And I don't see that elbow prior to this point. This is when the shot is fired. And then go a few seconds. There's the elbow. That image with the crooked elbow occurs, I believe, after this image occurs after the shot. The first shot has been fired. You see the guy who's not all the way to the left, but he's kind of bent over there. He's right by that vertical silver bar in the windows. That guy, he straightens up here. And right then, and he's got a gun in his hand, right then is the first gunshot. And then there's a slight pause, and there's a flurry of shots after that. So that could have implications for what happens. I hear rumors that this cop's pulling away with that gun, holding it out to the right, away from the suspect as he is, because that may be the suspect's gun. This says person shot in Minneapolis today by Border Patrol, pulled the gun beforehand. The man...
As you can see right there, that is the gun right there. And if people are wondering what gun is that, we go right over here. It is a P320, a SIG P320. That's the gun right there. This gun has a history of basically being basically going off, like having like a easy discharge. Like you could literally grab it like in a normal way, and the gun could be set off and fire on its own. So in a right here, SIG P320 has been the subject of numerous lawsuits and reports alleging it could fire without a trigger pull, with over 80 incidents reported, often while holstered or during movement. While SIG maintains the pistol cannot discharge without a trigger pull and that it is safe, that's not true at all, because like there's been many lawsuits, and it was actually like a I believe it was a person that was in the military service. I forgot what his rank was and what his position was, but he got killed by a SIG 320 because he set the gun down on the table and the gun went off and shot him and killed him. Critics and lawsuits allege designing flaws, specifically lacking a trigger safety tab. So before we go back into that, I'm gonna show you exactly what a SIG 320 can do.
I'm gonna try to do it just like Wyoming Gun Project, replicate his test exactly. We do have a primed shell casing in the magazine here. You can see there's no projectile, no gunpowder.
So this video right here is gonna break down exactly how easy that a SIG 320 can go off. Like, I'm not even joking when I say this. The SIG 320 has an easy trigger. It can easily trigger and fire. Like you could grab it in like the normal way. Like you don't have to even grab it like in the area where the trigger is at. You could literally grab it like something like this, and then it will literally fire off. So
no gunpowder, just a primer on that 9mm shell casing. It's basically just pressed to the wall. I'm going to move the slide and we'll see if it goes off.
Bam. Let's watch that again.
Shell casing. It's basically just pressed to the wall. I'm going to move the slide and we'll see if it goes off.
Okay, so now we're going to show you exactly how he was able to do that, because like see in a little spot right there's something red right there where the trigger's at. So he puts
He used a screw. I'm going to use this little red thing and put this in the trigger.
So he puts that little red thing where the trigger's at to stop it from being able to move. And even when he put that little red thing right there where the trigger's at, the gun still went off.
I mean, you can see how small that is. It's probably less than a millimeter. I really don't know. But we're just going to put it in that little gap in front of the trigger, just basically to get it to the wall, so you guys know that I'm not, adding any more pressure with my finger. God forbid if it does go off. So I am actually going to put on ear pro for this, because I don't know how loud this primer is going to be, and I'm in a little bitty room. So let's see if we can get this thing inside our pistol. All right, I've got our little piece of plastic wedged in the trigger right there. It's basically just pressed to the wall. I'm going to move the slide, and we'll see if it goes off.
Bam. Bam. So basically that's was the first gunshot you heard when the ICE officer was running away after he took Alex Prete's gun. That first shot that you heard, because there was a slight pause in between shots, and then you started hearing five more shots afterwards, is because when they took Alex Prete's gun, which was a SIG 320, SIG P320 on my bad, it went off because he grabbed the gun. And as you know, even if your finger's not on the trigger or whatever, a slight touch or whatever on that gun's going to go off automatically by itself. Then that's what happened. The SIG D20 went off, and all the officers who were wrestling with Alex Prete, they don't know exactly where the gunshot's coming from. They don't know what's going on. Someone in the video also did say gun. You can hear that before the gun was removed or whatever. And like all ICE agents are doing nothing besides trying to get Alex Prete to, basically pin him down, to arrest him, to put him in cuffs or whatever. They're not understanding exactly what's going on around their surroundings or whatever. They're trying to deal with him. So when they hear a gun go off, they don't know where the gunshot's coming from. That's what leads to that's what leads to him basically getting shot by accident. And look, regardless of how people may feel about this, what I'm about to say, that is a lawful shot, because they have reasons to believe they were being shot at. They have reasons to believe that he has the gun still, and he opened fired with the first gun, when he opened fire with the first shot or whatever. They don't know exactly in that moment, because it's left to the agent's discretion at that moment what constitutes as a lawful shot. Okay, so when that gunshot goes off, they don't know where it's coming from. All they heard was a gunshot, and they have to respond to neutralize the problem. That is their legal right to do so. And you're about to hear Andrew break it down for you and tell you why.
Also had 2 loaded magazines. This is a still frame from the video. I noticed this too. This is the suspect here, the lower body here, just below that letter N on the window. That's the suspect. And you can see his elbow is crooked as if he's reaching for his waistband. So that looks bad. A shot has already been fired at this point, I believe. This account says you can see a gun sticking out of the back of the guy's jacket, and an officer pulls it away. Can you see that in this image? Because I don't see that in this image. Her video was posted. Does anybody have a link? Okay, so this is the video. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, somebody shoved somebody. Neither one of those look like ICE. There's a shove, and then it looks like the same person who shoved looks like they're deploying pepper spray at that tall dude's face. That tall dude may be the guy with the gun. Watch it again. We get the shove, pepper spray. Here's ICE coming in now. The woman's back on the ground. It almost looks like the guy who got shot is with the woman who got shoved, doesn't it? He's got his arm around somebody there. Then the woman who gets shoved is to the left, and the woman who shoves her has got the light colored cap on to the right. Comes in, there's the shove. The tall man intervenes, gets sprayed in the face, again, bends over to help the woman up. He's helping her up. She slips, falls.
And also, it's a key thing to remember. What gives him the authorization to start shooting him at that point and treating him as like a threat or whatever? Alex Prete got in the middle of whenever they're dealing with where the ICE agent or the border patrol agent, I keep saying ICE agent, I mean to say the border patrol agent, was already dealing with that woman. He was already in the middle of trying to neutralize and deal with that woman, and basically I'm assuming he was going to arrest the woman or put her in cuffs to get her to calm down, because she was impeding and trying to stop border patrol and a mixture of border patrol and ICE agents from trying to arrest an illegal alien. You can't do that. That's against the law. So when they were dealing with her, Prete got himself in the middle of that exchange. He put his arm towards the ICE agents or whatever. That is literally constitutes as assault. That constitutes as assault. So that leaves him open, that puts him in a position to where he becomes a threat then. And the ICE agents have to neutralize the problem, of course, or, of course, they're trying to arrest him before they open fire. What caused him to get shot was a gunshot from his gun that went off after the ICE agent took the gun from him.
Again, he goes down on his hands and knees. Looks like he's still trying to help her up. Looks like he's being grabbed by the woman who pepper sprayed him. And now ICE begins to come in. It looks like ICE may have just been coming in to break up this fracas. But while everyone's wrestling, they're wrestling with the guy who gets shot. These are all ICE here. The guy in the middle with the grayish color jacket, I think he's the guy who's going to stand up, and then we'll hear the gunshot. Like he may have taken a gun off the victim here. He stands up, and I think that's when the gunshot is. And everyone jumps back, and the police draw their own guns and start shooting. And then the camera goes off frame. All right, I'll run through the whole thing now and see what we can make of it. Guy's going to stand up in the middle, and then we'll hear the shot, the first shot. Right, DHS at 9:05 a.m. Central Time, as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal wanted for violent assault, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm handgun, seen here. I'll have more information for you on the handgun. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. More details and the armed struggle are forthcoming. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines and no ID, so I don't see how they'd know he had a concealed carry permit. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. About 200 rioters arrived at the scene, began to obstruct and assault law enforcement. Crowd control measures were deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. The situation is evolving and more information is forthcoming. This person says, this is serious. Why does this keep happening? Why does it keep happening? This account responds, well, this guy was told by our politicians that ICE and Border Patrol are the Gestapo and are torturing innocent citizens. We're very fortunate that more people don't take the words of Democrat politicians more seriously. And this is something I've talked about before, stochastic terrorism. Stochastic terrorism. It's kind of a disordered terrorism with a certain end. I've talked about this before using the analogy of the pachinko game. You've ever played pachinko? It's like a vertical board with a glass front. There's a space. There's a whole bunch of pins behind the glass. And you use a handle to spring load a ball up to the top of the game. And the ball.
Stochastic terrorism, huh? First, look, I ain't gonna say I know everything right now. I didn't know about the term stochastic terrorism until I watched this video and stuff. So that's my first time ever understanding what stochastic terrorism is. It's when public figures use hostile or coded language that encourage violence while leaving themselves room to deny responsibility. Yeah, this is exactly what you will use some of these Democratic elected officials. This is exactly what you will label them as, like sarcastic terrorists. Like they're using rhetoric that's dangerous, that leads to ICE and Border Patrol agents being targeted by a bunch of residents who believe that ICE agents are not lawful law enforcement and that they have a right to assault or attack or not even comply with their orders. So this is what leads to them being harmed or killed.
Ball drops down, bouncing off the pins in a chaotic pattern, an unpredictable pattern. And then ultimately the ball falls into a little slot at the bottom, and different slots have different values, and that's the nature of the game. That's what stochastic terrorism is, right? So in pachinko, when you send that ball up to the top of the board and it starts falling down, you have no idea what pins it's going to hit on the way down. But you know for certain the ball's coming down. Ultimately, the ball is going to drop down to the bottom of the game. That's what stochastic terrorism is. You create a lot of chaos among a lot of people, and you don't know exactly which of them is going to use deadly force against whom, but you know someone will, because it becomes inevitable. So here's a definition. What is stochastic terrorism? It's when public figures use hostile or coded language, everyone's Hitler, right, that encourages violence while leaving themselves room to deny responsibility. They have no direct connection to the final act of violence. How it works, a speaker uses demonizing rhetoric, a listener feels validated and acts on it. The result is an unpredictable act of violence. The specific nature of the act of violence is unpredictable. The when, where, how, who, all of that. But the violence itself is not unpredictable. The violence is the purpose of the stochastic terrorism. The violence itself is perfectly predictable. So this is the gun at the scene, the shooter's gun. And I'm familiar with this gun. This is a SIG 320. Gosh, what do they call it? The AXG, I think. Yeah, AXG. The SIG 320 AXG Combat. You can see it has a threaded barrel, just like the suspect's gun. This image is from the SIG website, so it doesn't have the optional optic on it, which this guy has, which, by the way, is a SIG optic. A Romeo 2 optic, 9mm pistol, high capacity. This magazine might be.
We went over that earlier when I showed you the SIG 320 too as well, and we read over it, like how it has like easy, like he has literally like a easy discharge gun, like just touching the gun will make it go off.
The 20 or 21 round magazine, the way it's extending from the gun. This is not an inexpensive firearm. This gun, just the gun without the optic, sells for anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200. Retail. And the optic that's on the shooter's gun is typically another $500 or $600. So we're pushing a couple $1,000s worth of.
By the way, get his book too as well. Andrew Brejka's book. Get it because it's a good book. I would admit that, because like if you really want to hear from a legal expert to tell you exactly what constitutes a self-defense, reading this book will probably do you some good.
The pistol here, which is not a small amount of money on the gun. Now, I'm going to mention, because someone's going to mention it, like it or not, SIG 320s have developed a reputation, deserved or not, of unintentional discharges, meaning if they're dropped, sometimes they go off when they're not supposed to. They're supposed to be drop safe, but there's been lots of press coverage and lawsuits about people like just putting a primer in the gun and dropping it, the primer goes off. That's not supposed to happen. There's been lots of lawsuits where people say, you know, I bumped the gun in the holster and it just went off and shot me in the leg, that kind of stuff. In this case, it's beginning to look, at least initially, as if one of the ICE guys perceived the gun on the suspect, this gun, and took it off his person and was turning away, walking away with the gun to secure it from the suspect. But what might have happened, remember, there's a whole bunch of officers involved. They're not all, you know, Ethernet cable to each other's brains. They're all seeing different things. And one officer might have seen the gun and said the word gun. And that might have triggered that first shot by an officer. And then all the other officers begin shooting in response to that initial discharge. That does not make the shooting unlawful. It would be an awful, but lawful shooting. So what's required for the shooting to be lawful? The officers have to have a reasonable perception of an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm. That's it. If the answer to that is yes, this is a lawful shoot. They're struggling with this gun. If they perceive this guy as being non-compliant with arrest, fighting with officers, as reaching for a weapon, they will have reasonably perceived an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm, justifying their use of deadly defense.
He did a follow-up to this too as well. We're going to watch that one too, because he did one the next day because like he had a very, very much more clearable video that showed him exactly that it was a lawful shot. Like, it doesn't matter how you scratch it, it's a lawful shot. Like, people can get mad about it all they want, but it's like, this is a lawful shot.
The force. And their perception does not have to be correct. Their perception has to be reasonable. We're not required to make perfect decisions in self-defense. Police too. We're required to make reasonable decisions in self-defense. If an officer heard a fellow officer shout gun, and officers are allowed to rely on the expertise of training on their fellow officers, they don't personally need to see the threat themselves. If another officer with whom they're working in that event shouts out that the triggering event has been observed by a fellow officer, that's enough for another officer to resort to the use of deadly defensive force. They're allowed to rely on their reasonable perceptions of the other officer's communications and conduct. Happens all the time, because everyone knows the officers have different perspectives or seeing different things at any given time. Every officer does not personally need to see the threat. He has to have a reasonable belief that the threat is present. That can be based on a reliance of what other officers communicate to him. So if one officer shouts gun, all the other officers are going to be prepared to, and some of them will shoot, as appears to be what happened here. When you get in a physical brawl with a bunch of armed law enforcement officers and you have a gun on your person, you're running a serious risk of getting fatally shot in the course of that confrontation. Yeah. The moment they see that gun, they've reasonably perceived an imminent threat of deadly, unlawful force against them, and they'll justifiably respond with deadly defensive force. By the way, it's not uncommon for police officers to shoot other police officers. Like, two plainclothes police officers respond to a scene of violence, see each other with guns in hand, and one shoots the other. And it's a justified shooting. Because the shooter, although he wasn't actually shooting a criminal and that other person was a fellow police officer unknown to him, was not actually a deadly force threat to him. He was reasonably perceived, given the circumstances, as an imminent, unlawful threat of deadly force harm, and therefore it was justified to use deadly defensive force. February 7th, a couple of times a year, I teach a free webinar. 100.
All right, does he go a little bit more? So, well, I guess he just talks about the webinar. Okay. So, now, before we go into his second video, we're going to get Myron Gaines' perspective on this, because, like, there's two people I trust when it comes to this type of stuff. Myron Gaines and Andrew Brinka. Two people that understand this position, understand what constitutes as a lawful shooting.
Okay. Boom, you push the lady, get the fuck out of here. And then this one comes near him, pushes her back too. And then this guy puts his hand on the fucking idiot, bro. Why would you do that? Mind your business. You're armed. And you're touching a fucking ICE agent in Minneapolis where these niggas are on high alert, bro. Like, come on, man. Common sense. And then you get pepper sprayed. And then you're resisting? I know they're telling him get on the ground and he's not listening. And you got a gun on your hip. So stupid, bro. I can hear, like, you can hear gun. He gets it out there. You can see it right here in his hand. Goes off because it's a fucking shitty ass 6 hour. Hits the ground. And then they don't know that the gun went off behind them. They think it was him, and they shoot. This is unfortunate. It's like a very unfortunate situation, but the reality is it's a clean shoot. And guys, this is a lesson to be learned. Guys, don't resist the police while you're fucking armed. Okay? Do not resist the police when you're armed. Do not touch a police officer if you're armed. Ever. Ever. This was just bad judgment. As someone who's a concealed carry individual, I can't believe he did this. Like, this is stupidity on another level, bro. This is a lawful shooting 100%. It was 100% reasonable. Because I'll tell you all this. If you're that agent and you're fucking trying to resist, you're trying to grab a guy and get him to stop, and then someone screams, gun, 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 and then all of a sudden you hear a gunshot, was the shooting reasonable given the facts and circumstances known to the individual when he pulled the trigger and killed that individual? The answer is going to be yes. He had a gun, he resisted, he heard a gunshot. Doesn't matter if you heard the gunshot from an accidental discharge. He could see him going like this in his right side, right? All the agent was able to see was this, basically. All right? He has other trained officers around him that said gun. He heard a gunshot. He sees him going like this. He's going to shoot, bro. Clean shoot all day. Okay?
Important one right there. That's the one I want you to hear. Now we're going to get Andrew Brinka's second video breaking down the shooting even more.
Alex Pretty, the victim of the shooting here. He's standing in the middle of the street. He appears to be calling just road traffic through the ICE operation. Now, it's important to understand what's happening here. This is not like a generalized protest outside an ICE facility, with people holding signs and, been in the same location for long periods of time. This is a team of ICE agents who have set out to arrest a particular criminal, convicted, illegal alien. And so they have a particular name. They're going after a particular person in a particular location, and they've been followed there by the people unlawfully impeding ICE operations for the purpose of unlawfully impeding ICE operations, honking their horns, blowing their whistles, shouting, physically obstructing ICE operations, and so forth. All right, Alex Pretty there in the street. He's pretty obnoxious to this car, points his camera at their face. He's walking out here, and we see him. Now, you see four people in this frame. A woman in a white jacket, she's going to get pushed to the ground by an ICE officer. Alex Pretty, another woman, and then the ICE officer in question walking up behind them. And the ICE officer is attempting to stop their impeding their operation, forcing them back from the scene. It looks like she's already forced this dark-clad woman back. Alex Pretty seems to be protecting her. He's got an arm around her shoulder. He'll put his arm around her waist. He's placing himself between that woman and the ICE officer pursuing that woman. Again, that is impeding. This white jacket woman is also impeding. She's now engaging the ICE officer. The ICE officer tells her to get back. She won't. So the ICE officer shoves.
Yes, all day. I mean, and that's what people don't seem to understand. Like, when you're impeding on law enforcement and when you're trying to actually stop them from doing their job, they have a legal right to react the way they have to react, whatever's best suited to their judgment.
Her back. He falls down, and Alex Pretty now physically engages the ICE officer. So the ICE officer sprays him in the face with OC, another shot of OC. This is all a lawful use of defensive force. Alex Pretty went hands-on with the ICE officer. You're not allowed to do that. I mean, that's a criminal assault. That's a felony assault on a law enforcement officer, too, in addition to the impeding. Now, more ICE officers have come in to aid their colleague. It becomes a generalized fracas. Alex Pretty is not complying with arrest. He's not complying with orders. He's resisting all of these. Now, you may say, well, they're pushing him around and he fell to the ground and he's on his hands and feet. But from the officer's perspective, he's not simply complying with lawful detention. And this is where the fracas becomes more general. And we're going to switch here to the stabilized video. But this point right here, where Alex Pretty goes hands-on the ICE officer, after the ICE officer pushes the woman in the white coat, right there, that is Alex Pretty committing a forcible felony good for 8 years in a federal prison. 8 years in a federal prison. Here's the relevant statute. U.S. Code 111. I'll make it bigger for everybody. Assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers. That means federal law enforcement officers. So whoever forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, intimidates, or interferes with an officer is committing a crime. Where's the penalty? So where it's only a simple assault, a non-deadly force assault, it would only be good for no more than a year in prison. But where the assault or impeding involves physical contact with the victim of that assault, the federal law enforcement officer, they'll be fined or imprisoned not more than 8 years. So it's an 8-year felony to do this. Alex Pretty has now committed an 8-year forcible felony on a federal law enforcement officer. You think he's subject to arrest? Of course he is. You think he's legally obliged to comply with that arrest? Of course he is. Does he get to fight the ICE officers? Does he have the right to do that? No, he does not. He doesn't have the right.
This is a key and point that people need to take in this podcast that I want people to remember. When it says that you can fight this, it doesn't really mean you go physically fight law enforcement. You don't have a legal right to fight law enforcement physically. People sit up here and use this dumb notion that, oh, I have a right to defend myself. You don't actually have a right to physically defend yourself, bro. You do not. You want to defend yourself, you go to jail and you fight it in court, or you have your day. Like I said, you have your day in court. Like that's the case, like, or you show up to court or whatever, or you press charges if you feel like you were wrongfully detained or whatever. You have your day. That's the problem. You fight it in the legal manner, not in the non-legal manner. If you're going to go physically think you're going to fight a cop, or if you think you're going to shoot at a cop and think you're going to come out this on the other side and like you're the one that's going to get off scot-free, buddy, you're going to prison. Like, you're going to either go to prison or you're going to get shot. It is one or the other. There is no such thing as you have a legal right to do anything when it comes to law enforcement in a physical manner. Now, in a lawful manner, when you go to jail or whatever, you bail out, or then you talk to a lawyer and you want to settle this in, say, court, that's your legal manner of fighting this. You physically think you can go out there and like assault an officer, bro, you're stupid. You are stupid. You're going to get yourself shot and worse. Put yourself in a bind. You're going to get jammed up in the law system for no apparent reason because you don't understand the law. Like, you don't go out there and think you're above the law by physically fighting law enforcement. No, you fucking comply. That's the thing. So yes, he's 100% on the mark with this. Like, bro, you people need to understand exactly what the law really is, not what you interpret the law as. Understand what it really is, not what you interpret it as. There's two different things right there. You need to understand one or the other.
Right to do this. He doesn't have the right to do anything to these ICE officers, acting within the scope of their official duties. And he's now a violent felon suspect subject to lawful arrest. And the violence is important because now the ICE officers coming in to make his arrest have to be concerned that he'll escalate the violence. And with the officers, as they come in, that effectively turns this, even at this stage, into a fight because of Alex Pretty's noncompliance, into a fight where guns are involved. Because even if you don't know Alex Pretty has a gun, which he does, all the officers have guns. And anytime an officer is hands-on with a suspect, there's always a risk an officer's gun will be taken. And if it's a number of officers, it's not just your gun that's at risk, it's the gun of every officer involved who's at risk. Many police officers are shot with their own guns. This is a real risk of the profession. So it's effectively a gunfight, even if the only guns were police guns. But of course, as we learned, that's not the case. Alex Pretty brought a gun with him as well. A gun reportedly he was licensed to carry, although only if he had his license on his person, which he didn't do. Mysteriously, he just showed up at his protest without his wallet, without his personal identification and his concealed carry permit. This, of course, is common among protesters, so they can avoid being identified when they're arrested for their misconduct at these protests. It's not an accident that so many of these people suddenly on this particular day all showed up with no identification on them. It's not an accident that Alex Pretty didn't have his wallet on him. And I'm told it's only a $25 fine if you don't have your concealed carry permit on your person, which is great. I mean, I don't think it should be a fine at all. I don't think it should be a legal requirement to have it on your person. But the fact that it wasn't by accident tells you something about Alex Pretty's state of mind, motivations, and intent on going to this protest, which it's not. He's not carrying a sign. He's only there to impede and obstruct federal law enforcement, which again, the moment he does that by contact, it's an 8-year federal felony. All right, let's take a look now at the stabilized video, and we'll see what more we can see from all of this. We got the generalized fracas. Alex Pretty is down. The guy in the gray shirt in the middle is going to take the gun from Alex Pretty's 4 o'clock position, his holster. The moment that gun's visible, the guy in the green shirt pulls his gun, points it. This is the slow motion version of the same thing. The guy in the gray shirt in the middle, he spots the gun, Alex's gun in the 4 o'clock position, holstered. He'll pull that gun out and begin to walk away. The moment he touches that gun, the gentleman in the green shirt on the left will present his service pistol, generally simultaneously, essentially. So now that they know there's a gun in play, right there. Alex's gun is retrieved. This guy presents his gun, points it at Alex, and right about now is when we hear the gunshot. I still don't know whose gun fired the shot. I don't know if that's been revealed or not. There's much discussion. We don't know where the first gunshot came from. At least I didn't before I went to church this morning, and I haven't seen anything different since. If there's been new information released, feel free to share it. It could have been an accidental discharge by the guy in the gray jacket, although when I look at that video, I don't see an accidental discharge. I know people claim that, and it could be, and it wasn't caught in the frames of video. But when I look at the 2 video frames immediately prior to the gunshot and the 2 video frames immediately after, I don't see a gun in recoil. I don't see muzzle blast. I don't see an impact on the roadway. I don't see a slide cycling.
I'm guessing, I'm guessing he must have changed his stances on that. I mean, according to Myron Gaines' video, he did see there was a gun discharge. So I guess from the videos that he's seen, he might have seen different videos or whatever. But when Myron reviewed it on his video, yes, there was a gun discharge, obviously speaking. You could literally see and hear the gun go off. So yeah. But I can understand his perspective. I guess he probably just didn't see that video.
I just don't see those things. Again, it could have happened and not been caught in a video frame. That's possible. or the gentleman in the green shirt.
It did happen. He probably just watched a different video frame.
Might have fired the first shot. He had his gun presented at Alex. There's reason to believe that Alex may have been shot in the back there. Of course, that's, by the way, there's green shirt again, right? Green shirt is standing on the right now. He's kind of circled around. He may still be shooting. People say Alex was reaching for his holster there. He didn't know his gun had been taken. That's theoretically possible. That's about where his gun was holstered. But of course, we don't know that. He could be reaching backwards because he's getting shot in the back, and that hurts. And that hurts.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. Like, you have to think more than just one possibility. But he definitely had his hand right there where his wristband is. So, waistband. So it's very clear to understand that, yeah, he was reaching for something in his hand. When your hand's down there, honestly speaking, that's automatically assuming that you're reaching for something. You're reaching for your gun. And that's what caused ICE agents to keep firing.
Now, once the first shot goes off, remember, they're fighting. These officers are fighting with a violent, felonious, non-compliant suspect. A gunshot goes off. Maybe someone's called out gun at this point. Who knows what that means? Maybe someone called out. Maybe Gray Jacket called out, I've secured the gun. And all anybody heard is gun. Normally, when gun is shouted in a circumstance.
That's why we have Myron Gaines' other point of view and his perspective on the video, because he saw the gun go off and then he heard someone yell gun in the video. So we have the other perspective of this. You know, we have Andrew. Andrew must have didn't see that video, but it's good to have his perspective too as well. We have two great legal legal experts, especially Myron, who has on-job experience from doing this stuff, giving you exactly their legal expertise and telling you why this was a lawful shot. So people can cry about it, whatever, if they want to. That's on them. So let's go on right here. Gonna close it out. So this was reported today. So Trump has announced on Truth Social that Tim Walz has conceded, and now he's willing to work with the Trump administration. So as it writes, Governor Tim Walz called me with requests to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a great call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that what we are looking for are any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We have had such tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana. Virtually every other place that we have touched, again, reading this without my glasses, touched, and even in Minnesota, crime is way down. But both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. President Donald J. Trump. The reason why they had such success in all those cities that he names, because Washington, D.C., Trump, there is no governor. Trump is literally in the governor's place because it's controlled by him. So he has the full authority to do whatever he wants in Washington, D.C. And in Memphis and Tennessee and New Orleans, they're like red states. So, of course, they're going to comply and work with, ICE to ensure the deportations go as planned. I live in Louisiana, so I'm from a red state, but I live in like a blue city. I live in I can't fucking dox myself. Let me slow down right quick. I was just about to dox myself where I'm at. Anyways, but yes, to sum it all up, it was a lawful shot. So if people want me to go over it again, you could just go back and watch this. You can go back and rewind and watch the stream. I give my take throughout this entire show. It was a lawful shot. You have legal experts. You have on-hand job experience. It was a lawful shot. You heard gunshot go off, and they're all wrestling with the victim, perpetrator, whatever you want to call Alex Prete. They didn't know exactly where the shot came from, and they responded accordingly, which it would make it a lawful shot. That's that. You can argue with your feelings or whatever, but at the end of the day, it was a lawful shot. He's going to get off this, and the reason why they're not going to turn over the investigation to local law enforcement or whatever is because this involves a federal law enforcement, and this involves a Border Patrol agent who believe he had the right to respond accordingly. So they don't actually have to turn over anything, and this can stay above federal level and have federal of course, they're gonna have like an internal investigation or whatever, because every time they're involved with a shot, there has to be an internal investigation. But they don't have to turn it over to state level, and just they can keep it federal. And if they want to, that'll be it. So that's that. You can make sure you like the video. I'll be back on Wednesday for our usual scheduled program. I guess we're going to be talking a little bit more about Iran, because we have more developments going on with that. We have, you know, we have a big aircraft carrier going towards the Middle East, towards Iran's shores. And we have like the Mossad doing their magic, also CIA and Mossad together simultaneously working their magic during the big violent protests that took place in Iran recently over the last couple of weeks. They made their mark known. So we're gonna be covering all of that and more on Wednesday. I'm gonna get some of those tabs and the windows open, and we're gonna cover that on Wednesday. So. But anyways, I want to let you guys go, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you guys for joining me. Peace.